Hey guys, welcome to episode 222 of 4PlayerAnimecast. We are smack dab in the middle of the spring 2023 anime season. It is also pretty much the exact mid of May. Temperatures are warming up here over on the east coast of the United States. But again, I am your host, Spire. Here with me are my compatriots Near,
Hello.
Toast,
Hello.
Dark.
Hi.
And again, we're just gonna kind of keep on rolling. And obviously, some of the bigger series, right? Some of the stuff that everybody knows about, the big names that are on the horizon, we do usually end up pushing it to a little bit, some of the later episodes. But we're going through the bulk of what people might want to listen to. So, anyways, let's get right into it. Past 2 weeks, near, let's go.
Um, I honestly really haven't been up to all that much. Um,
Hmm.
just kind of sort of chipping away at like stuff like Honkai Star Rail.
Here,
Other
how's your crypto?
what?
How's your crypto doing?
Yeah, how's
What
your
are you talking about?
portfolio, bro?
I do not have any crypto.
I heard Binance
Yeah,
is
that's exactly what
pulling
you
out of
want the
Canada. How do
IRS
you
to
feel about
think.
that?
Um, I don't really care. I don't really I don't care what crypto shit is happening in the world anymore.
What about
If it,
that Five Nights at Freddy's ripoff NFT? Are you interested in that?
I don't even know what you're talking about, man.
Is
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's a
Like it's a Five Nights at Freddy's themed like coin or what?
uh, it's called I believe it's called Candyland.
Uh-huh.
Kind of looks like FNAF. Yeah, Candyland NFT.
Bizarre.
Look it up there. You might be interested.
Uh-huh. But yeah. And just chipping away at mobile game stuff. Took a bit of a
Mhm.
break from Shadowverse.
Good. I think that's healthy for you. Yes.
Yeah,
You'll be back.
I
You're
will.
always back.
The mini expansion's coming out soon, I'm pretty sure, so probably dip my toes back in then. Other than that, I mean, not too much. Been sort of keeping up with stuff.
What?
Yeah, I don't remember. Was it last episode? Anyway, I watched the Mario movie with my dad.
No spoilers there.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was okay. I wasn't really all that wowed, to be honest. Um,
Is it good enough?
I mean, yeah, it's good enough. There's a lot of references. There's like a shitload of references, which was cool. Like a lot of references to older stuff, like Jumpman and some other stuff. Um, what's her name? Paulina or whatever.
Paulina was it? She's not old anymore. Near she was in Mario Odyssey.
Yeah,
She works in
true,
New Jump
true.
City.
But she's I think she's like a news reporter or something. Um, but yeah, it was fun. There's too much licensed music. They do too much like, yeah, here's popular pop song instead of
Oh,
like an actual, soundtrack or Mario music, It's kind of lame.
but near. What
But
about the pipe scene?
yeah, I mean the pipe scene is good, but there's a lot of stuff where it's just like, yeah, what if we did a random pop song here for like no reason? It's like, okay, it's a kids movie for like, kids that like Mario, so I don't know why you wouldn't put
What
Mario
kids
music
that like
there.
Mario? You mean the 30 to 40-year-olds that like
Dude,
Mario?
dude,
Hell yeah.
there was a kid like 2 rows in front of me there with his family, right? His mom and dad. And throughout the movie, um, he was like he was having the time of his fucking life.
Well,
Like he
good
was
for him. Good for him.
yeah, he was like shouting and shit when Donkey Kong showed up. And at the end of the movie, he like screamed at the top of his lungs, "Wahoo!" It was really fucking funny.
Good
Um,
for him.
but yeah, that was pretty awesome. Other than that, I also watched Evil Dead Rise. in the theaters with my dad. That movie is very good. I like that movie a
I
lot.
heard it's pretty progressive near
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah. But yeah, that movie's great. If you get the chance, I'm pretty sure it's on streaming now. But if you get the
Alright, cool.
chance, I would highly recommend. If you're a fan of horror movies and stuff. But other than that, I've been kind of just chilling. You know.
Okay. Okay, pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
So not much in terms of anime stuff, just keeping up.
Yeah, just keeping up.
Okay.
I haven't delved into anything new just yet. I've been kind of keeping off on some of the bigger stuff like Heavenly Delusion.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty good. Toast, what about you?
Can't even read what?
Past 2 weeks, please.
Oh, uh, yeah.
Yeah.
I watched movies too.
Yeah, what'd you watch?
I forgot what. Oh yeah, I marathoned the Harry Potter movies. I yeah, I did that. I will say, like, I like movies 1 to 4, which is like the usual, and ending at Goblet of Fire when it was a lot more focused on the magical stuff. Then after that, it became like teen drama, Order of the Phoenix and whatnot, and I'm like, oh, this is just Twilight all over again. I'll never forgive that they stopped wearing their robes after the 4th movie. I don't know why. It's like
Which
they did
what's the best one?
best one,
Yeah, best of the
Goblet of Fire. I like the Triwizard Tournament.
that's fair.
But
Mine's
yeah, it's like
mine's probably Azkaban.
that's good.
In terms of movies or the books?
The movies.
Oh, the
What is
movies.
it?
Okay.
What kind of loser reads the books, dude? Like,
I apologize, friends. I'll just go away now.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
done. The
but
podcast
like
is over,
they
guys.
stopped
Sorry.
wearing their robes. I'll never forgive that. Maybe it's because they got too hot on set, but it's like you've already worn them for 4 movies. Just suck it up.
I think it was just like a random sort of evolution of it kind of evolved similar to the superhero movies, right? Where it's like they want to become more like gritty and like
Like I
modern,
said,
realistic,
it
organic
became
kind of.
more teen drama because they
Yeah,
aged up,
yeah,
and I'm like,
exactly. Kind of like,
I
oh,
mean,
we're all here. We're just like, oh,
I mean
like, and
that was inevitable because the audience
yeah.
the audience
And if you
aged
notice,
as the books and the movies came
yeah.
out. So
And if you also notice, like you could say some of it's due to the story, but not definitely not all of it. Where it's just like if you look at how the movies go, right? Like the cast becomes progressively grimier and grimier and
of
grimier
course,
every
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Where it's like before, like when they were like kids and they're like even when they're kids, they were still like trying to defeat like baddies and stuff like that in dungeons, right? They're like all clean and like wow, we're all nice children. And like by the time that like it hits like the 7th movie, or sorry, the 7th book, right? In the movies, the Harry is like just he's in full like Daniel Radcliffe is in full camo. He's like
yeah.
wearing sand on his face. He's got like a scar across his chest. It's like he's going full Rambo. I'm like, what's happening right now?
if
Where did you crawl through the bushes to fight Voldemort? What's happening?
if I remember correctly, like there was something that in between movies they weren't allowed to cut their hair. That's why Harry's hair looks horrible in Goblet of Fire. It was so long. Ugh. It's like, oh, it's just like that you came back from summer break. It's like, no, looks like 2 years has passed. Your
Oh,
It's
hair's
who
worth
still
it for
long.
doesn't
all
get
that Potter
who
money.
doesn't get a haircut on summer break?
And then, like in what 5, he got his haircut. I'm like, oh, okay, he looks normal now, almost too normal. But yeah, they're all right. Apparently
Okay.
on HBO Max, there's this Return to Hogwarts thing with, Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They're old now,
Yeah.
dated 2022. So that's 10 years after, 10 or 11 years afterwards. So I might watch that later.
Is
Yeah,
that what like do they have like is that just like a simple after story with like the main cast, or do they actually have like family, or what's happening
it's
there?
a it's a looking back with like the staff of the movies and them.
Oh, it's like an
They look-
actual just like docu kind of
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, live cast. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
They are apparently planning. I don't know if it's a reboot or what, but they're apparently planning some fucking HBO like series.
Is it the freaking like the stage play Harry Potter and the Cursed Child?
No,
Oh,
I don't
then
think
I don't.
so. I think it might be a reboot.
I just wanted to stop doing stuff like
What is
this.
the
It's like
point of
first
doing a reboot? Just make like a different
for money.
story.
Money,
Money,
money.
because that's
I
the
mean,
easiest way to make money because they don't have to think about
Yeah,
like
it's the
writing,
same reason.
especially during the writer's strike.
It's the same reason they're making another fucking uh Hunger Games movie. Like,
Ugh.
just shit it out, you know?
just make another
It's like
a Fantastic
that.
Beast, right?
Yeah,
Whatever.
that and like yeah,
Yeah, well,
Those
those
bombed.
are
if,
yeah.
if you think about it, it's always like it's all like prequels and stuff that's already been written in previous lore. Like even the Lord of the Rings, that
Yeah.
was previous lore. Fantastic Beasts, that's essentially previous lore. Like all these
Spoiler:
things
I've
are
never seen Fantastic Beasts because I stopped after.
They're not very good.
Okay, good.
yeah, but like what I'm saying is like all of like the settings and like the history and stuff like that are like things that were essentially vestiges of like, the world building that J.K. Rowling had before with like the Grindelwald and like the just like what is it like the battles and stuff like that. But it's not like something new that J.K. Rowling had to make up or the Potter world or whatever the hell they call this. It's not something that they make up.
The Wizarding World, bro.
I've the Wizarding World. I apologize. The Birdie Bots crew. Who knows? But it's like eh,
I hate
it's just easy for them.
butterbeer.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyways,
Oh, that
so
was
anything
that.
in terms of
Uh,
anything in terms of anime?
I I tried that. The freaking what's it called? The one where you gotta run for the money. I don't even remember the name because it sucked. I watched one episode and I got really bored of it.
For the run for the money? What is it?
Tosochu, Great Mission. Yeah, that series sucked.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh,
I
was
was
that a
like,
kid
hey,
series?
maybe. Like, hey, maybe I'll check this out instead. And I was like, oh, it's boring. No cool power ups or anything. It's just, oh, lame. I expected half robot, maybe, but maybe that's
Yeah, the
because it's not
power was
sunlight.
inside of you all along, bro.
It's
Okay.
Toei, so I kind of expected something cool, some cool power ups, but no, there was
No.
none from the one episode I checked out.
Okay. Pretty good. What about you, Dark?
Oh crap! I forgot the other animes I watched.
Oh, go for it.
All right, so yeah, these are the big new releases that just came out recently. I can't believe I almost forgot until I checked my sweet deets on them. So after long waiting, Sakusei Byoto episode 4 and 5 came out. Yeah, buddy.
Uh-huh.
4 was kind of cool. It had a sleepy girl. If you like lazy sleeping nurses, I guess there's a demographic for that. It's okay. I haven't watched 5 yet. I'm saving it for a rainy day.
Uh-huh.
But speaking of rainy days, Spar, you like Distance, right?
What do you mean?
The artist.
I forget what he did. Like I'm serious. Like my memory is so bad with these things sometimes. Let me check real quick. Sorry.
You like
Uh
brown skinned girls, don't you?
yes, I guess. Yeah, sure.
Because Joe Sherlock episode 3 and 4 came out.
Oh, Distance. Yeah, I definitely like
Hell
this.
yeah.
Okay.
3's pretty good. 4 is pretty good if you like the brown skin girls. And then the last one is, I believe it's Akagi at 5. That's later, I believe later this month or next month. So
Okay.
I'm anticipating that. Yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
Pretty good. Pretty good. All right. Thank you, Toast. What about you, Dark?
I have been generally like keeping up with a lot of the stuff we covered. As far as anime goes, so nothing really like new on that front. I started the new Uma Musume like ONA, though I think that's only 4 episodes or something, or
Uh-huh.
3, as like a little holdover until season 3 comes out. But so that's been cool. And unlike Nier, I have not been dabbling in mobile games. I have been doing too many of them. I am playing
How's
every Hoyoverse game. That's actually not true, but I'm
Are you
playing the
playing
main
Nikke?
3. No, no, God, no. No, that game looks
I'm
like its
playing
actual
Those
gameplay
butts.
is not
Yeah.
fun.
It's
Um,
ass, just like.
yeah, it just fittingly just does not seem very fun. Or interesting. But yeah, I've been playing Star Rail. I've been playing now HI3, Honkai Impact 3. I've been playing obviously
There was a
Genshin as
2? I don't
well.
remember. I don't remember 2
Well,
at
no,
all.
it's like Honkai Impact Third. I don't know if I
There
don't
is
think
no.
it's
Yeah, there's no two.
yeah, it's like a different meaning. But yeah, so that's like fun, but probably not good. But HI3 has been giving out like a lot of shit for free, so that's been cool.
What's the most number? This might be a little bit of a tangent, but what's the largest number of mobile games slash gacha related games that you've played simultaneously?
I think only 4.
Okay.
Like only 4
Only.
because yeah, there was like I mean, I'm sure like Spire at this point has a lot more under his belt than that at once.
I've gone
Um,
through a decent amount, but it's like
I mean, I've played like a shitload at this
yeah,
point of mobile
but I
games.
think the most I've played simultaneously, like legit, like cycling through that stuff, draining the energy, potentially doing ranking events, stuff like that, was definitely just 3. Because it's like at that point, because
Anymore, it like
especially if you
becomes a
have games
job.
that do
Like,
ranking events or like stuff
yeah,
that
like
you
there's no
constantly have
way.
to drain stamina, it's so tiring.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Especially I don't play. I really don't like playing games that are like just auto battles. So I like all of my like idle games, for instance, right? The Love Live, the old Love Live mobile game, not the new ones out now. Dereste and Mirista, right? Those are all rhythm games. So I specifically like, even if I'm playing like a team that can just cheese through charts by just me tapping my thumb wherever on the screen, I still have to tap my thumb on the screen for like 15,
Yeah.
30 minutes. So it's like, but it was a little bit hard to juggle that. But yeah, it's I think, as fun as it is, it's probably easier to wean off and maybe rely on just one or two gacha games when you can. But
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I think the
not
major ones now, like Genshin, I like kind of just keep up with story wise. I really don't care that much
yeah.
about like doing a lot of the events because I have so many event materials built up that like
Yeah.
you
And you're
know
not
some of
constantly
them wind up
gachaing for
becoming
like
useless.
the new character
No,
and
I
like the
used
weapon.
to for a little
Yeah.
bit, but like now, I don't have more characters to even bother with until the new zone comes out. So,
Have you ever gone for like full unlocks on any character?
what do you mean? I'm in Genshin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple that are like maxed out now, like fully.
Okay.
But Genshin doesn't raise its level caps or anything, so it's like, or hasn't, which has kind of caused stagnation. But that's another
Mhm.
discussion. But it also has the benefit of like, once you're done with a character, you are completely done. Like
Yeah,
you
you're
are
just
just
walking
set.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
that's been fun. Honkai Star Rail has been very, very fun. That game has its next like 25 characters fucking leaked, which is very funny. Um, looking forward to the new characters there. And yeah, that and getting into Honkai Impact has been cool just from like a story and like comparison slash like alternate reality crossover stuff with Star Rail.
Mhm.
So that's been pretty cool.
Pretty good. Well, thank you, Dark. My 2 weeks have also been pretty quiet. Again, just finishing up some real life stuff on the side, catching up with some anime. I really want to go back to reading Nukitashi. I always forget the full name of this thing. Um, what is this? Okay. 抜きみたい、抜きみ、 抜き毛みたいな島に住んでる私はどうすりゃいいんですか? It's like, it's like I ended up living on an island that's with girls that are acting like, I'm in the middle of a nukige. So what should I do? That's sort of the transliterary title. But it's a decent comedy, VN, and I want to read through all of it fully, and its sequel because I haven't read the sequel either. Before, I know Shiravune is doing a translation of it. I think I've mentioned that before, but I do want to go through it before that's all out. So
Is that why you're into
that
Spire?
what I'm into. I'm
Yeah.
into comedy VNs, sure. I don't know whether Nukitashi VN specifically targets like a fetish or anything like that, but it's like using the whole like the Shimoneta anime, right? It's kind of like along those lines. But I do like Nukitashi's dialogue a lot more than the kind of shticks that Shimoneta did.
Hold on, is this the one that's written from the female protagonist POV? Or is this the
Uh,
one?
no, it's not.
So you're reading the one with the protagonist point of view instead of the girl one, huh? I heard the
I guess
girl
so.
one's not hentai. You pervert. Why don't you read
Maybe.
the vanilla one?
I don't know. I mean, I think with if I don't have the male protagonist, it kind of ends up a lot like how Claim Musa did anime wise. So I don't know. It might be a little bit better with the male
What's wrong
protagonist.
with female protagonists, Spire, on Sex Island?
I think a lot of the VN was made around the assumption that it had like male female ecchi kind of stuff, but I don't know. Um anyways, that was pretty much all I had. Other than that, again, I've been mainly just catching up with stuff, not much to really talk about. So anyways, that was my 2 weeks, and I guess just oh yeah, and on the topic of like mobile games and stuff like that, watching Idolmaster Cinderella Girls U149 really like a made me want Idolmaster Bamco to sponsor other or help produce other spin-offs of the Idolmaster series, which obviously they're doing for Million Live. But I hope they can do it for like other smaller like Cinderella Girls Million Live stuff. Maybe for Shiny Colors too, although Shiny Colors might be a little bit iffy with some of the voice actors changes, and obviously, I don't know as many of the girls there, but I hope they do more of that, and that's like a feeling I haven't had in a long time. I haven't had that sort of feeling after watching any of the other Idol series, but I do have it after watching U149, and it kind of makes me nostalgic and like almost makes me want to go back to the mobile games, or like at least makes me want to go back and play a little bit more of Starlight Season. Yeah, Starlight Season, right? Um, sorry, yeah, Starlight Season, but I don't know. Idolmaster is just too much nostalgia for me at this point. Kind of hard. But that was my 2 weeks. And I guess with that, we should head right on to our first review, which is Host. What do you have
Hello?
for us?
I don't know. So, you guys like J.K. Rowling?
No.
That's a very loaded question.
Yeah, it is a loaded
Not,
question.
No,
Answer
I do
carefully.
not particularly.
Why do you ask?
Why?
Would you like to
Ghosted.
elaborate?
What?
Would you like
You guys
Yeah,
ever
to...
you
been
want to
to, you
like?
guys ever been to Wizarding World of Harry Potter?
No.
Why
I have
not? It's a
not.
cool place.
Just have not had the ability to go.
Okay, well you should go there. It's a cool place. From what I've had good memories with Harry Potter books. But I stopped reading after the last one because I don't care about what's his guy name? Newt Scamander? Is that his name? Newt Salamander?
Newt
I,
Scamander. I
I
think it
have
is
His
Newt
no
name?
idea.
Scamander. You got it the first time.
I don't care about his Fantastic Beasts book. I mean,
Okay.
I think I would be because look, cool Harry Potter like world stuff, but I don't care. I don't feel like buying the books anymore. They won't fit on my shelf. So yeah, this series Mashle, it's basically Harry Potter, but mixed in with Mob Psycho 100. People say Black Clover, but don't believe their lies. Not Black Clover. But yeah. So I watched Mashle, Magic and Muscles. It's it's a Shonen Jump series. Wow, I can't believe I'm reviewing a Shonen Jump series. It's about a dude who has no magic, but he wants to become the divine visionary, which is I guess some high up magic magic thing, magic position in the magic world. So I guess that's why people say it's like Black Clover, because he wants to become the Wizard King or Magic Emperor, or whatever it's called. But yeah, so the main thing is that in this world, everyone's born with a mark on their face, and that signifies that you have magic talent. Everyone has everyone has magic in this world, and they use literal Harry Potter wands. Like this series is too on the nose with its Harry Potter references, and so the main character Mash Burn Dead was adopted by an old man because he was found in the forest, but he had no marks on him. So to compensate for his lack of magic, his grandfather, I forget his name, Mr. Burn Dead, let's call him that.
Okay.
I don't remember that guy's name.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Burn Dead, he's all like, I'm gonna teach you self-defense. That's literally
Nice.
just muscle training. So he lifts, bro. He lifts. That's all he
I think it's
does.
okay. Yeah.
And he's lifted so much that he can basically punch magic out of the air with his bare hands.
Apparently, the grandfather's name is Regro. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
I don't know. Hold on. Regro? Hagrid? No. No, that's too much of a stretch. No.
No. Although I'm not like I'm not like too disturbed that you tried to make that connection because there are for the viewers out there, there are a lot of references to Harry Potter in this series,
There's
and
too many.
or
I'll
like
go
kind of
over
like
them.
draw
I'll go over them
inspirations.
through
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. And when I say like a lot and like close to estimate, you might be thinking like, oh, there are like 3 or 4 like obvious. No, there are like like the entire like universe of this entire like setting. Like half of it's drawn from Harry Potter.
They're literally dressed like they're from Harry Potter. They have the suit
Yeah.
thing
I mean,
over wizard's robes. They use
even the
magic.
wizard robe and the suit thing is like that's somewhat standard as like for our general Magic Academy, right? It's like that's sort of inspired,
Not with the
not even
robes,
from
no. Not these specific
no,
types of robes, no.
they're
No, I
like just the
don't
dark
believe their
robes,
lies.
or are
Yeah,
you talking about the color coded robes?
yeah, they're color coded.
Oh, okay, yeah. The color coded robes are different. Yeah, okay,
yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, if you want to mention on the nose, the guy's magic mark, which is a fake magic mark. Well, I'll get into a little bit later.
yeah.
It looks suspiciously like someone else's mark, doesn't it? It's a literal lightning bolt. Ha ha! But yeah, so
Damn it.
the story begins when
I actually just noticed that when I looked at the picture as you said it. Oh my god.
yeah, the story begins. His grandfather's like, Mash, you must not go into the city because you're the city's evil. And he's
Uh-huh.
like, okay, but then he wanted cream puffs, so he went to the city. So
Understandable.
Yeah.
well, the recurring theme is cream puffs because that's his favorite food. So he goes to the city, all hooded and masked like, And when he buys his cream puffs, oh no, his hood falls off, and he's like, oh no, this guy's born without a mark. We must call the magic police. Apparently, because I guess being Muggle born is illegal in this world. They mentioned something like, oh, we have to keep our magic blood intact, so we kill all Muggle-borns or people with no magic, something like that. Pretty much,
That doesn't really seem sustainable.
it is if everyone has magic except for like the rare few. I guess they're mutations. But yeah, so he gets chased back to his house. And his grandpa's there, and he's like, "Oh, you're Muggle-born. I'm gonna kill you." So the magic police shoot magic at him, but he's like apparently so powerful that he bats away their magic like it's nothing, and he plays volleyball and soccer with their magic, and he's like, oh, he's so powerful. And he's like, I'm gonna kill you, magic police. Then the magic police guy, what's his name? Let me find his name.
Voldemort.
No, that's a different character.
I like how he doesn't deny that he's actually in the
Well,
series.
that's a
Yeah.
different character. His name's Brad Coleman, who's voiced
What's
by
with the names? Sorry.
Fire.
It's
You
like
have Fire. If it's Harry Potter, you gotta have as many English names as possible.
yeah. You know what's you know that previous season series, right? It's like we have the adventurers that are like disgruntled or whatever. You know that
Yeah.
it's like that. Um yeah, but sorry, anyways,
But
go on.
yeah,
Where it's like yeah, the
the magic
anime.
police guy is voiced by Diavolo. There's a lot of
Mhm.
weird yet very familiar voice actors in here.
Uh-huh.
Like even Mash's grandfather is is Cho. If you know who Cho is,
Mm.
he's like, let me just if you know One Piece, he's Brook. Basically,
Mhm.
that's I don't know. I guess that would be his big main role. He's he's an OG. But yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, he's
so
very
yeah, he beats up the magic policeman, and then he's like, "I'm gonna kill you." The magic policeman's no, wait. He'll be like, "I'll make a deal with you. You have to enroll into this magic academy and become the what's it called? Divine Visionary? Is that what it's called? I don't remember. I don't know. Yes, right? Yeah, Divine
Mhm.
Visionary.
yeah.
And if you become a Divine Visionary, you're like you basically work at the Ministry of Magic, or what do they call it? The Bureau of Magic.
Yeah, yes.
I don't care, Ministry of
Yeah,
Magic.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So you can overturn the rules that say like you people with no magic are are killed on sight or are outcasts. So you can change the world. And then he's like, "Why do you care about that?" And he's like, "I just want the money and prestige involved in this. I want to get paid." And he's like, "All right." So he enrolls into the Magic Academy, and there's a magic preliminary test, which he aces easily using his power of muscles. You remember that maze scene in freaking Try to Wizard tournament where there's a literal if there's a literal maze and there's a sphinx in the maze.
Yes, yes, yes. I
Yeah,
do.
that's part one of the things he did in the Magic
That's
Academy.
like the last part of the Triwizard Tournament, right?
Yeah,
Because that's the part where they actually have to get the goblet. Yeah.
yeah. So there's a sphinx. He's like he beats up the sphinx, and then he literally punches holes through the walls to get to the end. And it's supposed to be like, oh, how can he do that with 1 meter thick walls that are immune to magic? Well, they're not immune to fist apparently. So that was a funny scene. This series is like 60 to 90% comedy.
Yeah, I mean
That's
that's the way it should be, right?
yeah.
It's like I wouldn't have it any other way.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then he's enrolled into the Magic Academy where there's a three where there's three. I'm so three, but not four houses. And in typical Harry Potter fashion, he's sorted into the house through not the Sorting Hat, but the sorting skeletal unicorn, which tells like
He's not
oh,
kidding, by the way.
I'm
He
not kidding.
actually has a picture.
Where it's like,
Did you see
oh,
the picture?
yeah,
Wait, no,
it's,
the picture. Yeah, it's all there. Yeah,
I didn't realize that was from this series.
it is. It is.
it's like, oh, you have these qualities, and like, oh, you're brave of heart. You're an Adler dorm. You're smart. You're smart. I guess you're an Orca dorm, and if you're if you have ambitions to be powerful and whatnot, you're in Lang dorm. Apparently they just it's a literal orca for they just mixed up Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw together. So yeah, so he's in Adler dorm because he's brave of heart and whatnot, and his house colors are red, and Lang is apparently purple. But whatever. Yeah, some fun stuff happens. There's a dude named literally Tom Knowles, like Tom Knowledge, but
Uh-huh.
they call him, but
After Tom Riddle,
Tom
yes.
Riddle, yeah. And then they have a literal magic magic sport on brooms called duelo instead of Quidditch, but it's literally played the same way as Quidditch, except there are no you're on brooms, you're on a field, and you gotta throw balls into hoops. There's no bludgers or snitches apparently. So he gets recruited into the duelo team, and but he's got no magic. So how can he fly? Well, I'll leave that. I won't spoil that because it's pretty funny how he flies. But yeah, there's a lot. This series is literally Harry Potter, but more comedic, mixed with, I guess, the humor of. I want to say what one's humor. It's very apparent in the way that a lot of the panels are drawn and how he's mostly deadpan. I'm not gonna say One Punch Man because that's too obvious. I'm gonna say Mob Psycho 100 because I'm more civilized than that. But yeah, so this series is basically him solving, like doing magical wizard tasks without magic, just using his muscle magic in quotes. But he's only said muscle magic maybe 2 or 3 times in this
That's
series,
disappointing.
but I guess it's for his named attacks. There's like muscle magic, ballista knuckle, and it's just him punching things. And then
That's pretty good.
like what is it? Muscle magic, big bang dash, and it's just him running, like going from a sprinter's position and running so fast that he disappears. That's cool.
But
Yeah.
so can I ask you, is what is it? It's by the way, that description kind of reminds me of did you watch Busou Shoujo Machiavellism? It
Yeah,
kind of
I
reminds me of the
believe
main character.
did not that.
It kind of reminds me of the
I'm pretty
magic
sure
bullet
I
kind of.
covered that, but yeah.
You did? Oh yeah, okay. I
Yeah, it
definitely
was
I watched
covered.
it. I
Was
was
it by me? I don't remember it
it was
anymore.
by either me or you. It's like one of us because we definitely both watched it. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. You see this, right? It's like the magic bullet kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so
He
I
hasn't
think an
done any
important.
cool shockwave abilities
Oh,
yet. It's literal
that
punch.
sucks. Oh yeah, I hope there's a shockwave soon. That would be cool because that's like the classic, right? But
Yeah.
so most of like the staff is pretty much like A1 connection people. Like there's a lot of veterans here that are kind of pulling their weight here. I think the only one is kind of like I know the main director Tanaka Tomoya is his other direct like full directorial roles are Visual Prison and Engage Kiss, which are is not I think the best of resume stuff, but he's had a lot of experience otherwise in like other kind of series. So that's so I'm glad to see that Mashle is turning out pretty well. What do you think about so what's the formatting of the series? Is it just episodes? I'm thinking it's mini arcs, right? It's probably gonna be mini arcs. I haven't read the
Everything's a
manga.
mini arcs when you bring it out, Spire.
That is true. But is it like
Like
multi-episode
mini
mini
arc.
arcs?
Oh, here's his magic. magic entrance exam, mini arc. Here's
Yeah, yeah. So it's a
he
couple
meets his
episodes
bad
per
guy and he beats him up. Yeah,
muscle kind of thing. Okay, okay, okay.
but there's only
So
what 6. Well, no, it can't be a couple episodes. It's um several chapters are condensed into one episode.
oh, okay.
Because it's Shonen Jump,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
thing, and this series is pretty long. So there's 6 episodes in, and I believe we just met the first main villain of the series. The the I guess he's Draco Malfoy of the series.
Draco Malfoy is not the main villain of Harry Potter, though, right? But
He's
it's
like
like,
the
is that how he
first
set up
kind of
in
antagonist, really.
Mashle? I guess
Well, yeah, he's
so.
the first one.
Yeah, yeah,
Snape's not the antagonist,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and not in Harry Potter, not for a long time. It's
Hmm.
Draco Malfoy. It's the prefect of Lang House, who's voiced by Goblin Slayer, which is weird. Like I didn't
Okay.
expect that, but yeah. So he's the noble that believes, you know,
I think. By the way, for those of you who don't know who talk about it, I think that's referring to Umeharu Yuichiro. I believe if
yeah.
that's the
So
yes.
yeah, so Draco Malfoy's able walker, and he's got 3 magic marks, I believe. Because in this series, the number of
So
magic
many
marks
magic
you have
marks.
on your face determines your magical capacity or how privileged you are. So like everyone, so there's this dude with 2 marks. You're like, oh, this guy's magic is stronger than the rest. But yeah, the Draco Malfoy's got 3 marks, and he hates peasants, and he's gonna rule the magic world because he's a noble and whatnot. So it's like, okay, I guess that's cool.
Hmm. But yeah, I how I guess getting back into more like the general stuff. How are I know again this is done by A1 Pictures. How are the audio visuals for this series? I almost said game for some reason.
That's the thing.
Uh,
I will say the visuals. I read a couple chapters of the manga, like just up to the point where
mhm,
the anime ends. Well, the current our current episode 6. So if you want to compare, there's took 16 chapters to get where we are currently in the anime. So 16 chapters to get to episode 6. It definitely looks more polished than the manga
okay.
in a way. If maybe I'm drawing too many parallels, but in a way that's very similar to the difference between the One Punch Man made by One and the
Mhm,
Murata version of One or One Punch Man, if you know what I mean.
mhm,
The anime is a lot more refined looking, more professional in some like overall compared to manga. So
so-
the anime looks a lot more serious overall compared to the jokey tone of the manga's art
mhm.
in a
Ah,
way.
okay, okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about. But I mean, it's also what is it? One Punch Man was also kind of it did have a lot of money still, and it I think did have also a lot of subcontractors. Just because I know, um, I mean, Madhouse themselves isn't usually does take on some subcontractors for its larger projects, and I know JC staff, like most major JC staff projects, take on like 20 different subcontractors, but usually those series are can be variable sometimes in terms of quality, especially if JC staff plus like 20 million subcontractors are kind of taking the wheel. Compared to, I mean, A1 Pictures can also kind of be variable, but oftentimes they have enough decent artists. Like they have connections to decent enough artists to take it at the range. So I'm still glad to hear that it's a little bit more polished than something like One Punch
But
Man
I
season two.
but the thing is, I don't know whether or not that's a good thing. It's up in the air because, like I said,
Oh, you want it to be kind of
the manga
cheesy like that?
itself is very cartoonish and more comedic.
Hmm.
And by having a more serious and the characters are drawn more simply in the manga, but
Mhm.
having better quality animations in the anime kind of detracts from it. like the comedic tones, because like the most apparent was in episode 1, where there's a scene with like one I mentioned earlier that he bats away the magic like it's nothing. Like in the manga, it looks like this. It's very comedic, like very comedic and simple. But in the anime, it's kind of over the top. It's like, oh, zoom in, zoom in
Oh, okay, okay.
with the attack, and it, pans around his head, and he just swipes it away. Then boom, there's an explosion on the
Do you think?
side.
So, do you like that, or do you like this?
It really depends, because yeah,
It's like I almost like I empathize with you kind of because like you like what Toast might like I almost want to see both. You know what I mean? Like
this
almost
is
want to see both.
like I'm posting pictures of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the
well,
anime.
the One Punch Man anime did something where it kind of like did moments like this
It
just
mixed
in
them
the
up.
anime. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Like sometimes it was like super simple, and the other times it was like like full on
Yeah.
like 60 frames per or like 100 frames per second, whatever stuff like that. Yeah.
So, like I said, I mean, take it how you will. I think it detracts from the overall comedic series, comedic seriousness of the
Oh,
anime.
you think they should have really made it kind of like a
Yes.
caricaturistic, like yeah, how it is. Yeah. Okay. Fun.
Here, I'll. It's a weird video, but it's like here's the instant one. It's like you can see the difference between how the anime takes it compared to the manga, and it's kind of over the top. But I mean, take it as you will. It's not really my way to say it. I'm just
No,
saying that.
I definitely fully empathize with like what you're saying, and like I think that art style would have been cool to see as well. So
But maybe it doesn't translate as well into the anime. I don't know.
mhm.
I'm just pointing that out. But
You
yeah,
like the OPED? How do you feel about them?
OP is pretty good.
Hmm.
ED is literally a cream puff song. I don't know what they're doing with that.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
I guess it's because the main character really likes his cream puffs. But yeah, the opening is Knockout by Taiku Okazaki. I don't know
Mhm.
who that is.
I don't know who
Well, I
that
know
is
who
either.
that is.
So, I guess one last question before I guess uh any if you want to just give the last words, but just one question before that. I know there are approximately 500 reviews on my anime list about Mashle that start with a line, "This Harry Potter slash One Punch Man spinoff." So, how would you respond to all of those reviews
They
starting out
aren't
like
wrong. There's
that?
way too much Harry Potter notes to not to not
Versus One Punch Man
be
notes. Yeah.
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 Because it's the same dry deadpan humor about an overpowered dude
Mm-hmm.
who just punches people in a
Right. Right.
magic world, and like, come on, man, literal Quidditch. The very first they mentioned potions class, and
Mm-hmm.
guess what? The very first ingredient they mess with is
What is it?
like, what's the first magical plant ever introduced in Harry Potter?
Man, isn't it Mandragora?
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
mandragora, and I'm like, too obvious.
Very like so on the nose that they're just like taking. They're just like they're like starting to pick the nose with like the finger they put on it. Like this is how far that they're going. So yeah, again for the viewers that we talked about just like a couple of minutes before about how this series draws a lot from Harry Potter in an homage like way that still treads the line in a slightly dangerous manner. Um, this this is just one of the many examples. So,
I will say though, when they enter when they enter the cursed forest of death or whatever, for
mhm,
training instead of detention,
right,
they don't encounter a spider. They encounter a scorpion. So
yeah.
slightly different. But
Have they encountered a unicorn yet?
The sorting unicorn.
Oh no, I meant like in the forest.
Oh,
Have they?
they're going to. Oh my God! Here's another thing. So in the series, in order to
Mhm.
become like nominated for Divine Vision or whatever, you
Yeah.
have to collect coins. Okay.
Okay.
So there's bronze coins, silver coins, and gold coins.
Uh huh.
And I think like 5 silver coins make 1 gold coin.
Okay.
What else has a gold, silver, and
You're
copper
talking about
coins?
you're talking about the general currency system in Harry Potter, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Newt.
yeah,
What
yeah.
is it? What is it?
Gringotts?
No.
No.
Newts, sickles, and galleons.
Oh yes, 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 yes. Yeah, exactly. The names
Yeah,
of the
but in
currencies.
this
Yeah.
one, there used to be like, oh, this shows how many merit points you have. So
That's pretty cute. Okay. Okay. Pretty
I can
good.
draw. I can make an entire spreadsheet of Harry Potter parallels in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
I'm sure it would never end. But anyways, any last words on the series?
it's a really good series. It's funny.
Yeah. Honestly, I want to check it out after
it's
I heard your review. To be honest.
it's funny in the ways that
Mhm.
makes sense. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
It's pretty. The ridiculousness of what he can do is pretty good too, and in creative ways.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, he has no magic. How can he fly? Well, how can he fly in a broom and play Quidditch? Well, check out and see. It's pretty funny.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, we're behind 40 points. Gryffindor's behind 40 points. There's no snitch in this series, so how do you, bring it back? It's pretty good. I won't spoil it.
Okay.
And overall, this is a really good series. Definitely worthy of being in Shonen Jump.
Yeah, yeah, I can
Uh,
tell it's quite well made. Even obviously, even though the setting is like drawn a lot from Harry Potter, but it's like it's the pair or the comedic parts of it are very well done from what you said in your review.
but yeah, it's
Mhm.
oh, I forgot the name of the school is a Easton Magic Academy, but not Hogwarts. I don't know. Does Hogwarts mean something in
I don't know.
British?
Yeah, I think they're just going with the British kind of theme, to be
Maybe,
honest. Yeah.
I guess. But yeah, oh, what about the other characters? I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, there are other characters. Cool, I guess. There's a red-headed dude. Maybe he's Ron Weasley. I don't know. He's got explosion magic though. But yeah, I forgot to mention, everyone's got their own unique magic. So yeah, I guess there's variety in that. Yeah,
Okay.
good series. It's a really good series. I'm not surprised. That's why there's going to be a live action version next month.
Yeah, yeah. There's actually is it a live action or is it like a musical?
I believe it's live action. So
Okay.
yeah, it looks good. It it has the same, I guess, color palette as other shonens of this genre. Like if I wanted to compare it to another shonen that was also in Shonen Jump, I'd say it has similarities to the Assassination Classroom palette
Mhm.
of colors. Good.
But yeah, I think also the names, some of the names are probably obviously some of the names are references to Harry Potter, but it's like there's also my um guess at one interpretation of the main character, for instance, right? It's like ban is like a very like onomatopoeia or generally like for like punches and stuff like that, but like bam, like and then dead, right? So it could be something like that.
Yes.
But
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Tell me that the Easton Academy headmaster does not look like movie Dumbledore. Tell me.
Yeah, it's I yeah.
Let
For
me let
those of
me.
you who guys don't know, just check out the character like on Google Images or something like that for the headmaster. It's like exactly how it
His
is.
name's Wahlberg Bygone, and he looks exactly like movie one through
Yeah, he
three
actually looks
Dumbledore.
exactly like Dumbledore.
And it's like,
Oh
god
my
damn.
god. Anyways, thank you, Toast, for the
my
review.
rating, my rating.
Yeah.
I'll give it a solid 9. It's really good.
One Punch Man out of 10. Good stuff. But yeah, it is.
I don't know, like, how many episodes is this? We're 6 in. I hope it's at least 24
Yeah.
because it definitely
It could
deserves
get
it.
a season 2 for sure, especially
Yeah,
with a series like this. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely halfway.
it's
It's
really
there.
good. I definitely recommend it as the shonen of this series, or a diamond in the rough shonen this season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Toast again is reviewing Mashle, Magic and Muscles. This is a manga original adapted into an anime by A1 Pictures, I believe, leading the charge, along with obviously a bunch of other subcontracts, stuff like that. Pretty good comedy series. Please do check it out when you have the time. With that, next on the list here, we have Nier. What do you have for us?
Wowie. So I watched Mahou Shoujo Magical Destroyers, also known as Magical Destroyers.
This is a anime original. What is
Yes,
this?
this
Anime
is
original,
an anime
yes.
original multimedia project. There is a smartphone game.
So, did the game release first, or what happened?
I don't think
Or
the
is it pretty
game
much
is
all the same?
out yet.
Oh, okay. So it's pulling. It's not pulling an Uma Musume. I don't want to say that because that sounds bad. But
Yeah,
so yeah, it's kind of trying to release it at like simultaneous ish.
it
Okay.
seems to be from what I can tell.
Who's this is this is actually being headed by Biburi
Yeah,
Animation, which
this
is,
is
by the way, for those of you who don't know, Biburi Animation uh, does do 3D CG mainly, I believe, right? Or is that a
um
different? I know one of the Biburi
I know
people.
they have like a 3D like
Yeah, they have
division.
they have a 3D division. That division does a lot of work for
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Um
Sorry. Please do go on.
yeah, this is anime original. Bibri animation.
Mhm.
S- I there's like no CG in this. So it's pretty interesting. This is Bibri.
Yeah. So
Um
Biburi Animation CG is their CG department, but the animation studio is their main. But it's surprising that they didn't utilize more of their actual CG department
yeah.
in house. Yeah.
It's a bit odd.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is a very interesting show. Um the basic premise is in 2008 the Japanese government um essentially decided like um that otakus needed to be um basically put in jail. They needed to be excised from the Japanese population, um, and they were basically rounded up and put into jail. And then a few years later, uh, there is effectively a otaku like resistance army, um, and their secret weapon is this trio of magical girls, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where it starts off. Um, it's a mostly episodic series, um, and yeah, it's kind of just like adventures about kind of a monster of the week sort of series. They sort of do a bit of otaku trivia here and there, a bit of otaku
You're taking a lot
history.
of these sorts of like monster of the week. At first it was
Yeah.
Heavenly Delusion. Now it's this one.
I mean, so I mean, there's a sort of overarching plot, right? There's the secret like um bad guy organization that's sort of like in charge of like rounding up these otaku. But it does mostly seem to be an excuse to be like, yeah, here's another reason to send like a big robot or something after
Is the
these otaku, right?
focus the focus is not on the monster of the day though, right? The focus is on just like how much like random references and otaku trivia that they can. Because I know the like the the fact that like the enemy like leader or whatever Shobo is like literally Shobon, right? For those of you who
Yes.
don't know, Shobon is like um was it originally just the emoji and then it got turned into a
I
game
I
and
believe
then
it.
it,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, okay. Shobon was originally the emoji and then it got turned into like the weird like platform game or whatever the thing it was. But is the focus actually on the monster of the day or is it just on like the otaku trivia that comes along?
So most of the focus is so this is a very comedic series. A lot of it
Uh-huh.
is comedy between, the main cast, the main four, right? You have the main character whose name is literally just Otaku Hero. And then you have the trio of the magical girls. The red one, its name is Anarchy, the blue one is blue, and pink one is pink.
Mhm.
And it's sort of just general hijinks between them. They have the weird, like, fucked up mascot creature that's drawn like a fucking crayon Shin-chan character. He's also there a lot of times. He's mostly just there to get beat up, though. Yeah, it's mostly a comedic series, and then it's sort of like, um,
What sort of comedy is it? Like dialogue focus? Is it slapstick? What is it?
it's pretty slapstick. So this series, is I guess I guess I'll use the word inspired by, um, but it is very reminiscent of something like Kill la Kill, um, in terms of its comedy and its sort of like general
Okay, 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 gotcha.
flow. You know what I mean?
Uh huh.
Um, there's a lot of slapstick. There's a lot of sex jokes, um, stuff like that. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, there is quite a bit of general like callbacks to otaku culture, um, a lot of otaku references. There's a lot of Ultraman, there's a lot of Kamen Rider stuff. There's a lot of general mecha type stuff. Um,
Hmm.
like one of the first villains that they actually fight in like this sort of monster of the week formula is just a very, very blatant Evangelion reference, right? Um,
Are they allowed to do that near?
it's legally distinct.
Okay.
So the fun thing is like it's very obviously like an Evangelion reference because of the way like the mecha looks, right?
Mm.
But before they launch the mech, uh, they actually like build it out of like giant Gunpla parts. Um, and then the way the guy pilots the mech is he's actually in like a sports car, right? Because the villain's like backstory is that he was like car otaku that got brainwashed by the government to like hunt down otakus. So he uses his like car driving skills to like pilot the mech. Um, and they figure out that he's a car otaku because like as he's chasing them through the city, um, he refuses to like hurt any sort of car, like whether it's cars on the street or like there's this big building of like car um like model kits that he refuses to destroy, stuff like that. And it's all very, you know, uh it's all like, not
So
serious.
this might sound a little bit weird in terms of how I'm phrasing it, but essentially the comedy is still the core, but you can tell that like the people making the project, because especially because it is like otaku theme, that they're trying to stuff in as like we like all these references when they can. Is that how I'm supposed to take it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not really heavy on the references. It's more of just like because there's an episode, I think it's episode 4,
Uh-huh.
um, where the main cast sort of stumble into the territory um, of the old otakus, right? Like the old guys that are
Hmm.
otakus, um, and the leader of them, um, who's voiced by Sugita, by the way. He's like he has like a grudge against like these young otaku because the way he puts it, like back when back in his day, you had to keep like being an otaku a secret, right? Because it was like something
Okay, yes, okay.
shameful. You had to
Yes,
buy
yes, yes,
you had to
yes,
buy
yes, yes.
video games and
And put
figures
them
and
in
stuff like that.
bags. Yeah, put them in
Yeah,
like
you had
paper
to put them
bags
in
and
a
stuff. Yeah.
bag, and when you went out shopping, you had to put
Yeah,
masks on,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
had to
yeah,
have your
yeah,
shades
yeah,
on. And he's got a grudge against these new kids because they can just buy shit online, or like they wear like the otaku like name with pride, and for them it's like a mark of shame, right? And the whole episode is sort of like them doing like these they do like a they call it like a swim meet, and they do all these like games like to sort of do this like bonding so that way they can get along, right? And a lot of it is sort of like the characters sort of clashing with you know what it means to be an otaku, and whether you know you like, just because in the old days you had to be ashamed of it doesn't mean now you do, kind of thing. And you should be fighting against this government that's sort of trying to you know uh, oppress the like otakus, right?
Mhm.
Instead of fighting amongst each other, kind of thing. And by the end they sort of come to a mutual agreement, kind of thing. But then
I'm kind of surprised because it's like, well, I mean, that's yeah. It's I mean, it still kind of seems like they're trying to use like all these otaku references and themes, but it's almost like they're trying to use otaku culture and like those references in a way where it becomes more of a discussion. Again, something like a shirobako, or like one of those
yep,
like this career is about XYZ, right? And they're doing like a series
yeah,
about girls and that. It's or new game or whatever it is, right? It's kind of seems like they're treating it like that in a very interesting way, I want to say, instead of necessarily just like throwing things out like how Nyaruko or like Lucky Star did, right? Where
yeah,
they're just like, with those series is not a discussion point,
yeah.
right?
It's
They
not
have the comedy and then they also have the references.
it's not
Yeah.
necessarily about the otaku culture. It's sort of just like, hey, here's this reference, and
Yeah,
also here's
recognize
the
it or not,
comedy.
fuck you
You
kind
know,
of thing. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
This isn't quite as reference heavy. There is a scene where like all the old dudes sort of tried
Mhm,
to like distract the current villain of the week, right?
mhm.
Which is like this big squid monster. Um, and they have this sequence where one guy puts on a Kamen Rider belt and he does like a henshin pose.
Which I
This
suppose
I'm pretty sure it's
generic.
I'm pretty sure it's Blacks, but I'd
Nice.
have to look at it again. This other guy does like the Ultraman pose, and then the leader, which is Sugita's character, does
Mhm.
like a Sailor Moon transformation.
Good pick.
Yeah, it's quite good. But yeah, this is a very much like like otaku culture, sort of comedy series. It's very much reveling in sort of like you know not like direct references, but um, sort of
Mhm,
general like callbacks to like you know, uh,
Homage.
like yeah, just like mecha, like as a genre, um, you know, tokusatsu stuff like that. And obviously, it's very heavy on the magical girl themes, right?
mhm.
Like each of the magical girls have their own unique transformation sequence, and every single time they transform, they play it like in full. Um, Although they've done a couple bits where like they play it in full, but it's at like 5 times speed or something like that.
Right, right,
Or when
right.
like all three of them are transforming, they'll show like all three transformations like in like separate windows on the screen at the same time, kind of thing. Um, but yeah, this series is kind of just like pure fun, you know. Um, it's very episodic. Um,
Yes.
it doesn't really have like any like heavy themes or anything outside of like the one they kind of keep hammering home is like you know you shouldn't be like ashamed of like being into something. You shouldn't have to hide the fact that you like something. um
Right,
you
right.
know you don't necessarily have to make that like your entire identity, But if you enjoy something and you're a fan of something, you should wear that like with pride, kind of thing.
Right.
That seems to be the general like theme that they sort of keep pushing at the end of every episode.
Mhm.
But other than that, it's a lot of just fun, comedic, slapstick stuff. There's some action here and there. But yeah, a lot of it is
By the way, sorry for interrupting. Who's pushing the overall
the main character.
No. Sorry. I meant for the general multimedia project. Who holds the licensing? Who's
I'm not too sure.
pushing in the money for this? Because I'm looking through the anime's like staff right now, right? And it's like this team is just the director, for example. What is it? Ikehata Hiroshi, right? He's like the perfect pick for this. He did, like he did he did like all sorts of stuff that like Akiba's Trip the Animation, Become
Yeah.
Human. He did the FLCL. He did like a bunch of other stuff that like are like he did like Save His Life, like stuff like that. Um, the script writer, obviously, he did like Golden Kamui, he did Kuroko no Basuke, he did Legend of Galactic Heroes. The the fucking sound director is like a huge freaking veteran who did everything. He was the sound director for Symphogear. This
Yeah.
guy and the character designer is like he did stuff for the Azure Lane anime. He did Black Rock Sheer
Hold
Downfall.
on. Which Azure Lane anime?
The one done
Probably
by
the first one.
the first one
first
done
one.
by Biburi, I believe.
Yikes.
Yeah. He did character designs for Black Rock Dawn Shooter. I think he did helped with Grisaya animation. He did one of the Kininos, and then a bunch of other stuff, Prima Doll rewrites, stuff like that. So he's had like
Yeah.
a bunch of good work. But like they brought in the freaking A++ team for this project.
Yeah,
So I was just wondering
pretty
where
much
this money was.
everyone like behind this definitely knows their stuff.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. Like they obviously, have been in the mud with, the otaku culture,
Yeah.
just as a whole.
And they're all
yeah,
just like veterans, like objectively outside of it.
yeah, I'm
Like,
not too sure who's like really.
because the guy who created it is called Inagawa Jun, and he's supposed to be like this underground like art like musician or whatever, and like
Yeah.
whatever. And it's just like is there information about him online on the Japanese side? I don't even know.
I'm honestly not too sure.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that this like blew up
Because
like
this series kind of just came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. And it got so much money. Like what
Yeah.
happened?
But yeah, I'm not too sure who's really backing this.
Uh-huh.
But it like it's a good product. I think I haven't really looked into like the game. I feel like the game as a multimedia project is probably just something that the producers were like, we could probably do this, right? And they're like, yeah, sure. I don't know if they're like really pushing it too hard. Because what little I've looked into the game, it seems like
it's
the story is pretty different in the game
Yeah.
compared to
It's like way
the
more just like
anime.
whack. It's like way
Yeah.
more like it's like a very it's almost I don't want to say this, but it kind of looks like one of those sketchy Chinese mobile games that you see on like
Yeah.
ad kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's
And
a lot
it's
of
not
there's a
even
lot
done by a
of
big studio. It's not like Calab or whoever,
Yeah.
right? It's not.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
characters in the game that are that aren't in the anime. Like it's very obvious that they're like game
Yeah.
specific. So it's a very weird
This is
um
fascinating. Yeah.
yeah, it's a very weird project overall to look at.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's very charming. It's it's really fun. Like the key
Mhm.
word in this, in my opinion, is just fun. Like it's pure fun.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything like, um, like this is like the Fooly Cooly of this generation or any kind of thing like that, right? But it's fun. It
Bro, I don't know.
definitely.
Wait. The guy. I just checked his Instagram page. He has. I don't know whether this is like. I don't know who these people are, but he has like people cosplaying as these characters. What's happening here? How big? What?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't know,
understand where
man.
this came from.
I don't know. This must be like some weird passion project he's been brewing for like a while
Yeah,
or
but
something.
he just like magically had enough connections to just
I
have it
guess,
blow up.
man.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah, it's very strange.
I'm
Um,
glad that it turned out for the better though, because there are plenty of projects that have had a lot of money and a lot of good people, or supposedly a lot of good people
yeah, I mean
flowing into it that
they
have.
just fall on their face,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I'm really glad that this came out like this.
Yeah. In terms of audio visuals, the soundtrack for this is actually really good in my opinion. It's got a few
Who
background tracks that
do
are
you know
honestly
who? I
pretty
guess
standout.
Jun Inagawa like himself probably helped out with the music because he's like part of. I think he's a
I
music
would
artist, but
assume,
yeah,
right? But
but
in
yeah.
terms of like overall music, um, the Mao lists Gin Haishiba,
Hmm.
sort of like theme song, general music.
Hmm.
Um, the OP and ED, OP is done by Aimi.
Hmm.
It is very good. In my opinion, again, I've talked about it before. Definitely contender of OP of the year, in my opinion. The ED,
The music, the general music guy kind of came out of nowhere too, because like when he's like listing stuff, he doesn't. Does he even have a? Yeah, like this is literally the only
yeah,
thing
this
that he
seems to
like
be like one of
posted.
the only like anime projects he's on.
And like
Does
his entire like Twitter thing is
yeah,
literally just about this.
yeah, pretty much.
What's happening?
It's very strange to like look at the people behind this project and just like this is like what like it seems like they were behind this like full force, you know what
Yeah,
I
like
mean?
everybody else around them are like super veterans, but like the original kind of creators and like the music person is like they're kind of there. It's like
Yeah.
okay.
Um,
Wow.
but yeah, ED um is done by the 13th Taylor. I honestly haven't heard of them before this. The ED it fucking slaps super hard though. It's visually really cool. As for visuals, I mean, it's Bibbery 2D. It's not stellar, but it gets the
Uh-huh.
job done. You know what I mean?
I
Right.
think some of it has had a decent amount of charm, to be
Yeah,
honest.
some
Like,
of it's very nice. There are some cuts in this that are actually really fucking good.
Mhm.
A lot of the color in this show is very nice. It's very colorful.
I know you said that there's I mean, this is like sort of a monster of the week, problem of the week kind of thing. How
Yeah.
much action is there in the series?
There's a decent amount. I mean, there's a good amount of action pretty much every episode. Uh,
Mhm.
even in episodes that aren't really like, you know, like there are a lot of episodes that are a bit more laid back. But like at like the end of the episode, there will be like, just like, yeah, here's a monster now. You guys have to fight it and do, magical girl stuff. Like it's sort of like played as a joke in some episodes where it's like, I guess we have to fight the monster of the week. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's pretty much an action sequence in every episode, even if it's not like the main focus of the episode. They all look solid. It gets the job done. It's not like stellar or anything. Again, in my opinion, very reminiscent of a lot of the more, I guess, um, jank, quote unquote, kill the kill scenes. It seems like they were sort of going for that um, aesthetic as a whole. It's a bit more consistent in that um, sort of like visual animation style, um,
Mhm.
to the point where like because in Kill la Kill you would have scenes that were like beautifully animated, right? And then
Mhm.
immediately it would go to like 2D cutouts kind of thing.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was very it
There
was
were
very
definitely a
jarring.
stark contrast, yeah.
This series is a lot more consistent. So when there are scenes like that, it doesn't feel like wholly out of place. It feels more like just generally comedic, like something is being comedically like visual comedy kind of thing. So that helps a lot. But yeah, it's not amazing animation, but it definitely gets the job done.
Mhm.
It looks good overall in my opinion. But it's not like breathtaking or anything.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think also
overall,
I don't know probably the inconsistencies come from they are a very likely smaller studio because pretty
yeah,
much most
definitely.
like 90% of their work are just like in between second stuff. And
Yeah,
so they whenever they're doing like their main project, right? They have to oftentimes just kind of pull in like other like a bunch of other connections, right, from other studios. So
yeah,
the work quality can become definitely inconsistent, I think, for
yeah.
sure.
Um, in terms of, I think the voice cast in this is extremely good. You have Anarchy, who's like the main magical girl, is Fire's Eye.
Yep.
You know, she's pretty much basically becoming a legend at this point.
Mhm.
You have Blue, who's Terakawa Aimi, who also sings the OP. She's extremely good
Mhm.
because Blue, like as a character, is sort of this like sex obsessed like masochist character. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and she's really good. She's really good in the role.
Yeah.
Pink is Tomiya Kurosawa. Um, Pink speaks only in like she has a gas mask on, right?
Mhm.
So she is unintelligible throughout the entirety of the series. And Blue has to translate for her.
Wait, but she still has a voice?
Yeah, so she speaks in this like gobo 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 kind of like voice.
That's so good. It's like
Yeah,
Zombie Land Saga with like, you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like
Um,
it's
and
like
it's
with a
it's
legend,
it's
yeah.
really good. The
Mhm.
main character, Otaku Hero, is voiced by Furukawa Makoto.
Yes.
And he does this. It's funny, right? Because Otaku Hiro, like as a character, right? He looks like a complete dork, right? Like he looks like a loser. He's got,
Yeah.
you know, he's got the shaggy hair. He's got the swirly eye
The otaku
glasses.
glasses, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, right.
exactly.
But he's doing this like deep, like hero voice. And it's just really cool. It's just really fun dynamic.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, other than that, you've got I think Takehita Koyasu does like one of the like background characters, and he's doing this like really nerdy voice. It's quite good. A lot of the background characters have very like I said, you have Sugita as like the old man otaku,
You're right.
which adds like another layer to like the jokes. You know what I mean? But yeah, everyone like all the voices in this are very very
They're good
good.
castings, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, overall, this is a really good show, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
surprised that it kind of just burst out of nowhere. It's like this
yeah,
idea it's not even like some like higher up create like all like they pitched in with a bunch of different production committees like Bamco's coming in, whoever else is coming in. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna make this huge mobile game and it's gonna do it's like a couple of guys did this, they got the idea, it kind of blew up into a game, like a game that's not even, supported by a huge like company or anything like that, and then it became this um got stopped by Bibury, and Bibury itself is not like a big studio, but then they somehow managed to cobble together the freaking Avengers in terms of like
yeah,
veteran kind of. Well, not like fully like Kenji Kawai levels or anything like that, but it's like pretty close. Like they are
yeah,
all very
definitely
good. Yeah,
like specialists in
yeah,
terms of
yeah.
like the subject
They are
material
people you
for
can,
this.
yeah, you can depend on for sure.
Yeah,
And they just made this. Yeah,
yeah, it's really good.
yeah.
If you are looking for a, episodic, comedic, like fun show,
Mhm.
um, like this is perfect. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, it's like it's not like committal. You can watch it really whenever you want. Um, and it's funny.
Mhm.
It's the characters are all very very charming, fun to watch. Like this show's good, right?
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, I definitely had it on my backlog, but I really, really want to watch it now. And I'm glad that you did help review it. And, I hope this encourages uh, viewers also to check out the series as well. So, again, this was Magical Destroyers, also known as Magical Girl Magical Destroyers, also known as Mahou Shoujo Magical Destroyers. This is a series, again, anime original, by the way, not even just like an
Yep.
adaptation or whatever anime original. Although this is part of a larger um, multimedia project involving. Is there anything else other than like anime and game planned right now? Obviously, there might be like small merchandise, but are there like
From what
specific
I've
event?
seen, it just seems to be the anime and the game. I don't know if
Wow.
there's
Okay.
anything else planned, but
Yeah. So it's like mainly the anime and the game. I believe the game is called Magical Destroyers Kai or something like
yeah.
that. It's like a smaller mobile game, probably gotcha game or something like that. That's over there. This anime itself, it has been released first, I think, and it is
Yeah.
out and has been created by BBD Animation Studios, again headed by just veterans, very good people, like dependable veterans, like in the industry, just like know what they're doing, especially with regards to the subject matter. Good comedy stuff, again, as Nia reviewed. So please do check this out when you can, if you do like this sort of like otaku discussion comedy kind of stuff, all meshing well. Yeah, again, thank you so much, Nia, for the review for Magical Destroyers. And I guess I'll go next here. I'm covering a series that I think caught some eyes. I'm not sure how many eyes that it caught, but I thought I would be taking a bullet for this series when initially when we initially covered it in the previews. It is called My Home Hero. So that's again the same name as it is in Japanese and English. It is supposed to be sort of like a drama mystery thriller, manga original, I believe, and it is produced by Tesca Productions. And I guess part of why I asked near whether it was like animation CG or whoever was because actually Biburi Animation CG as well as Element Factory, two very standard people studios slash departments who do 3D CG for a lot of stuff, for a lot of anime series, are actually working with Tesca Productions for this. So that's why I kind of asked. But yeah, it's an anime adaptation mainly by Tesca Productions. They had some help with production in various areas from like some Chinese companies as well, mainly a company called apparently Beijing Shile Art Company Limited. So they had some help from that, and you'll see some names related to that in the staff role as well. And again, they had 3D help from the standard places in Peabody Element Factory. They, you'll see them in a bunch of other series that use 3D as well. Original creator is pretty interesting because it's Yamakawa Naoki, who is also the creator of that one isekai series, I'm Standing on a Million Lives, which I heard was somewhat unique. So I have not read that yet, but I think Toast reviewed that and was okay with it, right? I think Toast, you were okay with that series, but I unfortunately have not gone through it yet. Director is Kame Takashi, who did. This is his first full directorial role after doing like this one weird like net animation, which is like with Polygon Pictures, which is like Transformers War for part of the Transformers War on Cybertron trilogy. So other than that sort of like weird net animation, this is actually his first full directorial role on a television public air broadcast anime. So another interesting part, and this is like really weird. The script slash series composition for this series is Kiyasu Kohei. And for those of you who don't know that is the voice actor of Ippo in Hajime no Ippo, as well as Kaido Kaoru in Prince of Tennis. So he's recently been trying to branch out into doing like other anime related things. He previously took on the script slash series composition role for Run with the Wind, which was that like boys jogging team, whatever. Sorry, cross country team kind of thing series, which I think I reviewed, and I thought it was a pretty decent, pretty realistic series overall. So I'm glad that he's again branching out to doing other things. Although I do want to say that having your first series be about like boys jogging and doing cross country, and then having a second one being about like a murder mystery kind of thing or like murder thriller is very like you're branching out quite like in interesting ways there. So good on him for trying, obviously. But very interesting person behind it. Music, Kawai Kenji doing the music. I don't think I need to introduce him. I don't think I need to introduce him. So, and then the rest of like the cast, the staff, like the animation director and the general like visual design team, is generally cobbled together from Tezuka Productions related connections. Previous series. as well as again from the Chinese companies that they subcontracted. So that's sort of how it goes. Again, I think they had a pretty good team overall, and you'll see kind of that pan out in my review. The opening ending, the ending is pretty vanilla. It's kind of standard for these, for most anime. But the opening, Ai no Uta, Chiaki Fujikawa or Fujikachiaki, it does focus a little bit more on the lyrics and kind of just like the raw singing, but I do like it quite a lot. The visuals for the opening are pretty good as well. So, thumbs up on that. I do like the opening a lot. The As for the voice acting cast, it's Suabe Junichi, Otsuka Akio, Kento Ito, Ohara Sayaka, and Okubo Rumi kind of heading a pretty decent voice acting cast. So, some pretty good star power there. And I especially think that Suabe Junichi here does a very, very good job of voice acting the main sort of panicked, I'm just a weak, regular salary man who's just kind of doing this main character role, while also still doing like sort of personality shift changes or like taking a stronger tone when he needs to. So obviously, props to Suabe Junichi on that. Overall, I think before I go into the story, just a last note on the audio visuals. I think the animation that's put in here are unfortunately not particularly impressive. I don't think that's necessarily a mark really on Tesca Productions, but it's like this series, most of it's not like really bad animation, but it's also like most of the scenes are people just talking in place or maybe like holding something, holding an item or like shaking hands or whatever. So there's not really or require and most of this is just like regular Japanese cityscape, right? Urban landscape. So there are not very many requirements on the animators. This is about as close as you can get to essentially still shots without it going into full like way of the house husband O&A kind of specials. I'm not even kidding. It's pretty much like 99% talking and like being in bars and like stuff like that. So um I don't think there was really like that big of a hurdle, but overall, there's nothing fancy. I wasn't like very impressed by it or whatever, but it was serviceable. But yeah. Anyways, on to the story. A little bit of preface for this. Longtime viewers of this podcast will know I have biases towards different genres, as does most people who watch anime or any kind of fictional media,
Consume
right?
media.
Yeah, consume medium, and especially people who have strong opinions, such as myself. Else, I wouldn't have started this podcast, right? Um, so when I usually hear about series like this, right, that get into like contrived mystery thriller, like avoid whatever stuff like that, murder, whatever, I tend to have a negative bias against it because it usually kind of ends up being like forced cliffhanger after cliffhanger in each episode, and it's always like miraculous twist of fate where like at the last minute the villain stepped away from the door, and it's just like okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Or it's like coincidence where it's like, oh, the dentist was actually your a secret cousin twice removed who's actually also a mafia boss, and it's like, eh. So my bias coming into this was a little bit um negative. That's not to say I don't enjoy a lot of them as guilty pleasures, right? I enjoyed reading through the Da Vinci Code. I'm not going to say that the Da Vinci Code was good. I just enjoyed reading through, uh, should I say Robert Langdon is like airport rag? Would you say that that's a thing?
I think that's fair, to be honest.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. So it's like I enjoy reading degenerate shit like that. The stuff like maybe you would find at a secondhand bookstore, right? But um, I don't have an overall super favorable attitude towards it. So that's how I went into this series, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest about that. But I was actually very pleasantly surprised. About how this went. Oh, yeah. I should probably just really quickly cover how the beginning setup of this series. So you have this ordinary guy, Tetsutosu. You don't really need to memorize his name. Nobody does. So there you have this ordinary guy. He's father, or he has wife and daughter at home, or like daughter lives outside or whatever. Um, and he finds out that his um daughter has been physically abused by her boyfriend, who is kind of like a classic, who seems on the surface like a classic like thug, just like whatever, kind of no good person, and he has connections to like the yakuza, and he's like a bad person. And so then he accidentally also finds out that this thug is trying to extort money from his daughter and like kind of abuse her some more. So in a fit of panic slash rage slash whatever, kind of at that moment, he ups and kills his daughter's boyfriend, the thug. And that obviously sets off a chain of events where, because that thug is connected to the like this crime syndicate, as well as a person, he is also the son of a person within the crime syndicate. That thug is the son of somebody within, very important within the crime syndicate, who is willing to pay money to find his now murdered son, right? Now he is on the run, and he has to prevent the crime syndicate from, pulling a bullet, putting a bullet in his head, and kind of get out in any way possible. But obviously, since he's a weak, kind of regular salary man, he can't really do much, right? He's not Jason Bourne. He can't use his physical skills. He can't outrun people. He can't just use money or whatever. He doesn't have really connections. And obviously, his daughter and his wife can't run away from home with him forever, right? So what he does is essentially he uses the gift of gab, his talking skills, his ingenuity, his dialogue to get himself out of trouble. And his kind of end goal objective is to, again, uh, prevent the crime syndicate from killing him, and kind of make up excuses, and kind of cover up the fact that he murdered this guy. So that kind of unfolds. And alongside that plot is sort of the development of all the side casts. Obviously, other guy in the post art, who's also part of the crime syndicate, who was originally hunting him, but is now kind of like next to him and kind of working against him at times, but also kind of working with him for some stuff. And then sometime, obviously, the father of the murdered thug starts coming into the story more and more, and that's that sort of development. So there's a lot of character development within the story. So that's sort of how it goes. Again, the main core of the story is the fact that this MC murdered his uh, girlfriend's, or sorry, murdered his daughter's thug boyfriend. And now, since that thug boyfriend was part of the crime syndicate, he now has to, cover it up. But again, there's going to be side character developments. So, and obviously, there's this like large kind of overarching theme of family, or like how would you act for your family, or like is this the right thing to do, stuff like that involved within it. So yeah, that's sort of the main core of the series. And the structure is generally, it's not episodic. It kind of, there are different things within each, major things within each episode, but obviously um it's ongoing, continual, kind of like this one thing happens and the next thing um he has to cover up kind of happens. And most of it's kind of focused on him making one excuse and getting into another, and escaping one trap only to fall into another trap, and him making, thinking of something to say dialogue wise to get him out, and out of the frying pan, and then back into another fire, right? So that's sort of how it's structured. It's like an ongoing thing, but there are constant like hurdles that he has to jump by using dialogue and his quick wits to get out. And thankfully, um, he's able to think up of a lot more of these things, because he's like a huge um, drama slash mystery nerd. He's like a mystery thriller nerd, and he reads up on a lot of these things. And I believe he is like an amateur like author, like web novelist on like mystery thriller novels online. while obviously also being a regular salaryman. So he kind of uses that nerd knowledge, that otaku knowledge, to get himself out of trouble. So yeah, that's the core story. Now, as for my general thoughts into it, again, I kind of went into this series with a more negative bias, but I ended up being hooked on it quite a bit. And I was kind of overwhelmed by the sort of really well done, well paced atmospheric tension that it kind of just like put on my, just like choked me with. And I haven't had that feeling in a long time with a lot of these series where, again, my initial thought is like, okay, this is just another cliffhanger, this is just another contrived mechanic, stuff like that. So I was trying to dissect in my head why I was feeling this way about this series as opposed to, a bunch of the other stuff. And a couple of points is like, one, this series puts an extreme emphasis on the significant differences in power. So what I mean by that is like um or power and as well as like ingenuity, right? So what I mean by that is this it is extremely important to the advancement and the working of the story that the main character is a weak regular salaryman who can do exactly nothing against this crime syndicate that's been kidnapping him, that's been threatening him at gunpoint, at knife point, whatever. He can't do anything except gab, except yap, except just use his mouth, blabber on. He has to use dialogue to get out of all of his traps, and that's the point of the story. So it's like playing those RPGs or like visual novels, right? Where it's like you have to pick the route, right? Like just with like dialogue or like choose your own adventure thing or like dialogue heavy RPGs, right? It's kind of like that, or kind of reminds me in horror games where you can't really attack or like deter the monster in front of you, right? Whenever you see a monster, you have to run. Um, it kind of reminds me of horror games like that, and obviously those things are scary. Those types of horror games are scary for a reason, right? When you have a BFG where you have a super big gun or whatever, in a horror movie or sorry, in a horror game or whatever, you're definitely not as scared as horror game where you just have to run for your life. If you have nothing, if you have nothing but a lamp, if you get caught, you die. Those games are definitely scary because you are powerless. And this series really emphasizes that and the feeling of the MC, the main character, being powerless. And I think that's a really good way to kind of layer on the atmospheric tension. And he's not able to, again, Jason Bourne, run everywhere, um, just dodge, jump out of windows. He's not able to suddenly turn like the most, other than the most basic actions or like the most obvious, like pick up object, drop object kind of thing. He can't do anything physical. So he has to think about this. But also, while some of his like ingenuity, some of his like, so a decent amount of the story is also advanced by the fact that he like kind of plans ahead and creates these more like intricate plans um to fool the crime syndicate, right? Like he'll create fake evidence or like he'll hack onto somebody's account to fool the crime syndicate into thinking that this guy is like actually saying things on his social media account when he's not, or something like that, right? So he'll plan out these things in advance, and part of that's pretty well justified by the fact that again he's a mystery slash thriller novel nerd, right? So he kind of waves it off as, I've read a lot of these mystery thriller novels, so I've seen some of this and I can kind of plan out more of these intricate things in my head, right? And I kind of know the script to say. And he literally gives his wife, who becomes an accomplice, these scripts to read during important scenes in order to fool the crime syndicate into thinking that, or sorry, the yakuza, right, into thinking that they're innocent or whatever, or to lead them on a wild goose hunt. So part of this ingenuity in this series is justified by that. Whereas in a lot of other series, right, you just have kind of the main character being like, oh, I did this, and then I thought like 50 steps in advance to put the crystal in here, and then put the recording camera in there, and then, but I knew that you had the security cam pointed at me, so I kind of said something in advance, and then I knew that blah 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 blah, and like they just kind of magically think all these things out because they're a genius, right? But even when he in this series, even when the MC is thinking about more and more intricate plans, um, you can kind of see the limitations where it's like he plans out intricate plans, but it's like only two, maybe three steps ish ahead. Usually one step ahead, right? And then the series kind of puts in these points where he kind of has to um survive by pure luck, right? He just has to make sure the villain doesn't notice him, or he does has to make sure the yakuza people don't like pull that lever or like open that door or whatever it is, right? So there are some of these points, and obviously we know as readers because we're not, or as watchers because we're not stupid, that the main character is going to survive, right? We know that the main character is going to survive of these 12 episodes and not, episode 5, the Yakuza guy opens the door and shoots him in the head. That's not going to happen. Oops, bad Ed, sorry. We know that's not going to happen. But it's still a good layer of suspense to add where it's like there's some, the plan is relatively simple. It's not like a genius, like 50 steps ahead kind of thing. And some parts, it's luck. It's luck. Plot armor, obviously, but it's luck. So that sort of thing gives it a more organic nature to the plans that the main character sets. So I do like that aspect of it, where it's like a mixture of that sort of simpler intricacy, as much of an oxymoron as a phrase as it sounds, as well as kind of like the dumb luck part. Um, so I do like the um again, there is a little bit of a setup with regards to like again the thug and the killing and like, oh, now it's the entire yakuza is on his ass and whatever it is, and that's like a bit of a setup. But I don't think even that's so much as bad. Because a lot of those motivations are explained even just like at the beginning as well as later on by um the various characters in the cast, again, like the thugs, that the murder thugs dad's motivation. So another thing that this series does that's usually not done as much in other series, another thriller, mystery, or like brain morality series, is that they front load a decent amount of the side cast character development. So it's like, again, like the murdered thug's dad's motivation. Why is the crime syndicate, why are the yakuza out to get him so desperately, or out to get the main character so desperately for killing the thug? Well, they explain it in the first couple of episodes because this dad is like, well, I don't know where my kid is. We need to freaking find him. Has he been murdered? He's missing. What's happening to him? So that's explained up front rather than it being like the crime syndicate has done like a bunch of things, and then episode 10 it's like the Thanos comes out and it's like, oh, I did this for the greater, or whatever it is, right? It's not just saved for the climax because whatever, great morality. A lot of it's front loaded. The character development comes early, hot, steaming fresh, and I do like that sort of more unique setup. But also, there's honestly less railroading and just like arbitrary setups in the initial premise of the story than there is for some of the sort of later on motivations for the antagonist or the deuteragonist in the later episode. I would say some of the stuff that comes in later, again, episodes 3 with his sort of quote unquote partner Kyoichi, again, the phone holding guy on the side, um, and a lot of these other guys is just like I would say they're honestly more railroaded than um even again the initial premises. So I think the overall setup is quite okay, which is again something I don't necessarily say for a lot of thrillers. And sort of going back to the tension part, right? What I was talking about when I was making the analog between My Home Hero and like a horror game, right? Or like a dialogue based RPG game, right? Where you just have to talk your way out of something like, maybe something like Disco Elysium, right? Where you have to like make these like dialogue choices constantly. Obviously, you have like small actions, but most of it's dialogue, right? So although the series has one story, the plot has like one path that we know it's going to go, right? We don't know exactly where it's going to go, but we know it's going to go a certain path, right? The way it creates the tension, even though we know that some of the things are constant, like the male characters are constant and stuff like the main character surviving is constant and stuff like that. Um, it keeps making it feel like there's some sort of alternate bad end because I'm not sure why I feel this psychologically, but I feel like maybe that's a side effect of the fact that they front loaded a lot of the shocking scenes in the first few episodes. So usually, what happens with a lot of mystery thrillers, right? Is like as they build up to the climax, as the main character gets closer to the how do I say it? Sort of the core of the problem, right? There's more and more and more violence building up, right? And a lot of this is the most like emblematic kind of stuff is something like Trigger series, right? Or like Gain Act kind of series where it's like
Yeah.
more and more. The closer you get to climax, the more explosions there are, and like at the climax, like the entire universe blows up, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of like that. This series front loaded a lot of the violence and kidnapping or whatever at the beginning, like when they were getting roughed up and like when the guy initially has to settle things with the kind of initially fend off the wave of the Yakuza coming at him. And then the later episodes are all kind of dialogue. Obvious. So it's just like, it kind of feels like, oh, he's using the dialogue to stave off more of the actual violence that I saw in the previous episodes. So it kind of feels like there could very well be violence, viewer, if you saw it in the earlier episodes, but he's only barely holding it back at bay by talking his way. So it all kind of that I think that increases attention by providing this obvious precedent of a bad end that has been shown before. So it kind of feels like it's more iffy than it actually seems. So again, I do like that structure, and the pacing I think is very very good as well. Just I definitely wasn't expecting the pacing and like the way it set up its tension to be so well done, but it is how it is. And I don't really like this sort of genre to begin with, but I was surprised by how I got sucked into it. Excuse me, sorry. All of again, most of it, like people are threatening violence and doing a bunch of dangerous stuff on the side, but most of like the core story is just like talking and dialogue. So um that does have the unfortunate side effect of making it feel like some like the kidnappings and brute force and violence and stuff like that are railroaded. Although obviously, it's Yakuza stuff, right? There's got to be some violence or some like force or whatever, brute force or whatever. But it kind of does feel like some of the spurts are like, oh, like we need you to feel dangerous, so here's some violence. So it kind of does feel like that, but I understand like why they put it in, right? That's like an actual thing. So that's just my feeling on that sort of balance between the dialogue and the violence or slash action. But it is 90% dialogue, so it is an interesting way to do the mystery thriller for sure. Um, Again, going back to the family theme, all the sort of central characters reference connections to their families in some way as part of their personalities, as it relates to the current story, or their sort of driving motivation for doing, certain act or taking certain actions in the story. And while that is nice, family meme and all that. Some of that stuff is quite on the nose. I think there most of it's organic. Like there's talks with the murder thug's other girlfriend about like parents and children. That talk was nice. Um, Again, going back to the murdered thug's dad's motivations and why that dad sent the entire yakuza to get the main character. That sort of motivation, I think, is well put. But there are other times where it's like people will just be like, "Oh, my mom, oh, family," and it's like, that's I think a little bit too much on. But again, that's a very small, um, not even like a gripe I have, just like something I thought it was a little bit on the nose. But yeah, again, pacing is fabulous. I think there are a lot of unique, subtle not unique, but very uncommon, subtle story structure differences in between this and a lot of other thriller mystery series that other writers could take an example, a leaf out of the book of. Um, the build of the characters are also like kind of developing in parallel, like switching between different characters, and it's piecemeal here and there. There's decent amount of front loading instead of like just only the baddie coming out and being like, "Do you know why I did this bad thing? Because it was for the greater good, or like because I had to sacrifice everything for my son, or whatever it is." Obviously, there are strains of that in the core development, but I think the writer does a very good job in portraying and scaling the extreme decisions of that story alongside the extreme emotions. And what I mean by that is like um uh, an example in the story is like why you so it's like the thug's dad gets asked like why like like how would you act if your son was like if something really bad happened to your son like he was injured or even killed, right? And the thug's dad, obviously, like how natural real life people would say, he'd be like, I'd fucking go berserk, right? I would probably try to kill the person who killed my son, right? And that's like a natural thing to say as like a family member, right?
Yeah.
So that's like the motivation for the thug's dad sicking the yakuza on the main character. And if you as the viewer, it kind of feels like, oh yeah, that makes sense. This is like a relatively like local thing, although it does involve the yakuza slash mafia slash crime syndicate, right? Although it does involve the yakuza, it seems like a very local, personal, organic kind of thing because they have a naturally every reason to be angry for their son going missing or potentially even being killed or whatever, right? And that's a difference between that and like a story where the premise is, oh, my son went missing. I'm going to blow up this entire city block. It's like what? like those stories like that, right? Where like
Yeah.
I destroyed the universe because I was I couldn't stand a world where my son was not treated equally or whatever it is, right? Or some bullshit like that. Like there are plenty of stories like that where the emotions and the kind of thing that you would think as a human being or as like a organic human being within the realms of what we can understand, right? Um, in a story compared to the actions that the antagonists take are so like out of bound with each other, right? It's almost like it's like trying to take John Wick unironically, or like lore or like the motivations very like seriously, right? Where it's like, oh, he loved his wife so much, he actually just like wanted to kill everybody with like guns and a pencil, right? It's like is that really in scale with like with your emotions? So I think this series did a very good job of keeping that sort of scaling. I guess that's the word I want to use. The scaling of the decisions that they take compared to the emotions very real. Like they have that motivation to want to kill this dude, kill the main character, or like beat up the main character because the freaking guy killed his son. So it's like it's very organic in that way. I really do like that sort of setting. Um, and I know I'm kind of like splurging over like again like how sort of all the different structures, but also like for some reason there's more exploration right now of like the villains' lives and like how the characteristics are than there is of the main character, which is like a funny slash interesting way to develop things, right? Because like it makes sense because it makes the villains not 2D very quickly, which makes the interactions that more tense, that more like organic, and makes you think more. Um, but it's definitely not something that you see as much, right? Usually you kind of see the villains kind of do whatever. They're relatively 2D, while the main character gets all the development until you hit sort of the climax or get close to the climax, and then you kind of wade into the villain's backstory. That's sort of how it works, right? But there's definitely a lot of early exploration of like why the villains are thinking this way, why the baddies that are chasing the main character are uh, thinking this way, and the story also tries to kind of make it so that it's not necessarily the case that the main character is in the right from the beginning. So it's not like a case of, oh, the main character ultimately dirties his hands to do the right thing or for the greater good. And so like how much does he have to sacrifice for the greater good? It's not really even that sort of focus. It's like the focus is he just might not have done he just might have fucked up from the start. By
Yeah, I
murdering
mean,
that dude, he
he
might have
he
just
he
fucked
fucking
up.
killed someone, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. He killed somebody's son, and that's sort of how it's done. And it's not like in a lot of other series, it would be like some baddie is just out to kill his daughter or like to fuck his daughter, like rape his daughter, and he just killed him. Now he's on the run, which would be like a very standard kind of thriller series, right? And it would be like, yeah, okay, the villains did bad things, and now how much are you going to become a murderer, or how bad things? That's a very like gray morality weighing the stuff like that, right? Like how much are you willing to go for family, blah 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 blah. But this from the beginning, the MC might actually be one of the bad guys. So I think that's a very good, interesting way to frame it for sure. And that's like it's still like the whole like gray morality kind of thing, right? But it's a very good variant. It's a very good way to structure the setup. So yeah.
what would you rate it?
But I just I definitely didn't expect it to be like this. I think I would honestly have to rate it an 8 for sure. Like, and again, I don't really like these types of series, and I'm not sure if I could be like, wow, this is totally the type of series I would get into. But it just magically did suck me in. The -2, I think, would be from. I think obviously the visuals could be a little bit more impressive, even if it is static. Mostly just like people talking. Maybe I don't know what it could be added, but it's like I feel like there could be more to the visuals. Also, I wasn't like very convinced with like the obviously the maybe the ED stuff like that. But other than those like small details, I think most everything was pretty on point and just like a very unique mystery thriller that really did suck me in. And just like noticing all these different story structures really fascinated me. So sorry for going on such like a big like rant, but I was just very surprised. This would definitely get my end of the year surprise or end of the year like most pleasant surprise award, I think, hands down, unless something else miraculous comes. So definitely at least an 8 out of 10, I think. So this was My Home Hero by Tesca Productions. It is a manga original, and I just, again, if you like a mystery thriller that has a very unique sort of story structure, please do check it out. So yeah. Again, sorry for dragging on a little bit too long, but that was my review. And last but not least, Dark. What do you have for us?
Oh boy. I have the new Idol Master series,
Yes,
which is
Idol
Cinderella
Master.
Girls
Yes.
U149.
Yes.
And
So Dark,
yeah,
Dark, and
this
I
is
are
What
yeah.
does the U149 stand for?
I think unit, right? Like unit 149 something.
I
That's
think
lame.
you is the unit, but these girls are all under 149 centimeters. Is how
Oh, okay.
why the origin, and also the
Are you
production
sure
company
it's
for.
under 149 or under 14.9?
Yeah,
No,
man.
it's yeah,
Damn.
I don't know if that's the thing, but also the how there's like
Actually,
usually
wait,
like a
is the
specific.
producer under 149 centimeters too?
That'd be pretty funny. No, I
Because
don't
he
think the
might be.
producer is under. But he's what is it? So usually like these series are you under like a specific like fictional quote unquote production, right? For instance, like obviously the original cast of Idolmaster characters is under 756 Productions or 765, right? Namu Cool. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
765
think it's
Productions,
765.
which is like Namuko, which is Bandai Namco, right? And this one is 346 Productions, which is Mishiro. So Mishiro is like the imperative form of the verb to charm or to captivate, right? So they're kind of making the word reference on that. But yeah, it is a spin-off, and this is sort of very easily known as the lolly spin-off of the Cinderella Girls franchise.
Yeah, also known as the better spin-off of Cinderella Girls.
Is this actually being I know
So
I know the original, not original, but I guess the standard um original Namco Idolmaster animation was headed by A1, right? Directly. Is this in-house Cygames Pictures?
this appears to be, yeah, in-house entirely.
Okay,
Now
okay,
it's
okay.
produced with Namco, Nippon Columbia.
Yeah. And
But
obviously they're pulling
yeah,
in
this is
subcontractors and stuff like that. But yeah.
yeah, this is in-house, which you know, just to get it out of the way means it's kind of fucking god tier. It has some really
It
good
was
cuts.
actually really good. Yeah.
It's very solid. Its audio visuals are really, really good.
The
I guess
the,
to bang
the,
that
the
out of the
opening
way.
like had
Oh,
the opening
amazing
has so
opening.
many like yeah it has like transformation scenes. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah,
And
there's
it draws a
a
lot from the you've seen the Automaster opening too, right? Change,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like it draws a
That's
lot from that too.
hmm yeah.
Mhm,
So it's a really, really good OP. The
mhm.
song is obviously very good. All the music in this series is obviously very good.
Yeah.
Because most of it, well, no, it has some new tracks.
Yeah, I think
But
it
then
had
some of it
obviously
is game.
the opening itself has a new track, and I think one or two others might be new tracks, but it's like most of it's like solos from each girl. Unfortunately, some of the girls were recently voiced. I would say recently, it's like the past couple of years, and they didn't have I think they have not had solo like songs or whatever yet. So those
So
girls
those
got
are
like
they're
standard
getting
general songs.
solo. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it seems like some of them are also getting solos
Yeah,
though,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as the EDs if they did not have
Yeah, yeah.
one. The most
Mhm.
recent one with Haruyuki
Yep,
getting
yep.
one. But yeah, so you know, all of that is really, really good. The EDs are just basically like stills, which have been like they've been really nice. They've been really cute.
Yeah.
But obviously, like you know, visually it's stills, so there's nothing really going on there as far
Mhm.
as that. But yeah, so the premise of this is kind of like the producer is a manlet. He's a short king. Um, and it's pretty much everyone at the agency. It kind of opens with like a couple of other producers at the agency discussing between themselves of just and all of them just kind of being reluctant to take on this unit and being like, I don't want to do this fucking unit. And then one of them
Yeah.
was like, wait a minute, I know a guy. And
What about this shorty? Yeah.
yeah, our short king gets a phone call, and he's a huge fan of idols, and the other producer is like, hey man, how would you like to
all of
be a
them.
producer?
By the way, all of the so he like mentions specific names, and there are a lot of references to the general like Cinderella Girls franchise as well
Yeah,
as like
yeah,
TVs and
yeah.
stuff like that. But all of the idols, like whenever somebody asks him like, "Oh, do you like idols?" or like, "Which idols do you like?" Like all the ones that he mentions, like Mifune and stuff like that, they're all like older Onesan idols, by the way, just like a
Yeah.
small, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so he basically, you know, he gets that call. He immediately goes, "Yeah, absolutely. I would love to be a producer." And he
Mhm,
did not realize that he was going to be a producer for the group that is all like elementary schoolers.
mhm.
Um and it kind of just goes from there. So far
Mhm.
the first episode is like was a bit of a miss, like just because it was kind of pure setup. It was still
Yeah.
very good visually, but it wasn't like anything that crazy yet. And I think where it starts getting really good is episode 2 when it starts going into the episodic scenarios of going through like each girl and
Yeah, I
resolving
think
some
the
sort of
artist.
issue.
Yeah,
And
episode 1 was very standard. It was like you
yeah,
have to just introduce everything, and they
yeah,
tried to stuff it in.
yeah, it was very, and it was very, very, it suffers because of that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like pulling teeth. You have to get through it. It's like that
yeah,
episode
it,
one
it is
was worth it
definitely
for the
very
other.
necessary. Yeah, that's why like once episode 2 came out, I was like, oh okay, no, this is very good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it generally goes through a sort of issue that these girls are going to have in being idols, and sort of the producer stepping in to try to resolve that and
Yeah.
reinstill
Yeah.
that sort of desire of for them to be an idol to
Kind of them trying to find sort of like so essentially, you know how
yeah,
with Love Live with,
it's between them finding sort of what their shtick is as an idol, and also sort of where their personality might rub up against being an idol and how to get around that.
yeah, if you guys have watched really any like 2D Idol, but especially like the general Idol Master series, right? Whether it's the Cinderella Girl stuff or even better the original Namuko 765 Idol Master animation by A1 Pictures, right? Um, it kind of follows essentially the same structure where it's like you have one girl, you have them being like, oh, I have my own problems, blah, blah, I have my own lore, and then they kind of wake up to become ready to become an idoru, right? That's sort of that, and like the producer is kind of showing that cheesy like idol master 2D idol, like, oh, I want everybody to be on the stage. Yay! Kind of like showing that like cheesy like 2D idol master side. And he serves as I think the entrance, the instigation for the explorations into the standard lore of each character. And then the expansion of the lore of each idols within each episode is serving to add sort of the organic part of it, right? Organic
Yeah.
part of each episode.
Yeah, and sort of yeah, and so he winds up working through some stuff. There is some side stuff of him sort of trying to work through dealing with being a producer and sort of the pressures of that in some ways, and because it bounces back between him and his older sister who like has a baby, and so it kind of plays off of him just what would you call it, confiding in her. What is the word? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Is that the
Interesting.
word?
I don't know.
I don't know. Either way, whatever. He talks to her over the phone a lot to
Yeah.
sort of kind of figure out how to talk through these issues with all of the
Yeah.
idols. And so that's been really fun. I assume what is going to happen is we're going to get one episode for each idol, and then the last like episode or two is going to be kind of like the build up to the their like group performance.
Yeah, it's going to be build up to group performance plus like a dramatic climax, and the drama slash tension is going to mainly involve Arisu, who has been previously kind of like supporting a lot of the members and stuff like that. That's probably how it's
Yeah,
gonna go,
yeah.
right?
It opened up hinting at like Arisu's like deeper dramas, and then so far she's been much more of like a supporting character in that.
It's gonna be it's gonna be the standard like, oh, I have to support anybody, but like how like am I really care like when do I care for
Yeah,
myself?
what do I
Right?
do?
When do I
Yeah,
like when do I
or
get
like
to do the things I want to do?
everyone's
Yeah.
figured out now their like their role, like where they fit in, but like where do I fall?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so I think that'll probably be like the second to last episode or something, and then the last episode being their group performance, and just
it's a pretty standard
everything
structure,
around that.
I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
and so this is also why I am considering this. This is the better Cinderella Girls anime, because
I want to talk
this
about
is
this
what
a lot.
the original Cinderella Girls anime should have fucking done, and it should have
So Dark,
began and ended there.
Who's the better Shibuya Rin of this group?
Better Shibuya Rin. What a question.
I mean, Arisu is the Rin of the group right now, because she didn't do a whole lot.
So like you brought up I don't know whether it was on purpose or not, but like you brought a very good point that I actually really wanted to get to. So it's like around episode 4, not even episode 4, like just episode episode 2. 2 was with Nina, right? It was like the first
Yes.
episodic one. Yes. like when by the time the insert song came in, like Kimi ni Ippai, right? And then like which is Mina no Kimochi, sorry. That was Nina's solo song, and then by the time like the resolution was playing out, I like had chills down my I had a certain chill down my back because this series is I realized it's a very, very, very refined slash modern version of like what all the previous 2D idol shows had tried to sort of reach with whether it's Idolmaster, like all the different stuff, the Namiko, the Cinderella girls, whether it's Love Live, whether it's
Xenogosia,
Wake,
that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
Xenogosia too, whether it's Wake Up Girls or whether it's even smaller stuff like Selection Project or whatever. All of like the overall form is pretty much similar to all of them, but it was just like the pacing, the dialogue, the amount of info that was packed in, the way that like the emotional kind of ticks and like the hints and like the actions were like succinctly put in, and then it's like Nina cries at this moment, and then like it takes this amount to resolve, and then like they say exactly the right words, like the phrase, like to resolve it and stuff like that. It was just so machine precision. It was like well oiled. I was like seeing the culmination of all of the previous okay to kind of meh like 2D idol shows that were kind of just like, yeah, let's do stuff. Like they were all flashing before my eyes and being like condensed, ground down to make this work, which is actually good. It's like standard, but it's so precisely
Yeah,
done. It's so well oiled and eloquent.
because it's like because I mean realistically, it's like a lot of these series
Watch
should
your words.
be
Why you
that
call
those sort
under
of
149 eloquent?
yeah, it should be sort of like a lot of these series fitting into the same holes, essentially the same pegs,
Yeah.
the same sort of puzzle pieces coming together. But what this series is doing is it's got, it's kind of mastered sort of every angle.
Yeah.
Overall,
Yeah,
the producer has been great, like we've said. The way
yeah,
the characters
I
bounce off each other, the
yeah,
bringing
and
in
the
of the
expansion, yeah,
legacy
the way the
characters has
characters bounce
been
off each other. Oh,
very
you're
good.
right. Yeah,
The
exactly.
bringing in the old, like, well, not the old, but bringing in like the original, like the Cinderella Girls idols
The
or the
cameos,
expanded
yeah, the
cast and
references,
the
yeah,
cameos
exactly.
has been very good, and sort of the using them as a way to introduce the episode's trivia or the
Yes,
episode's sort
yes,
of overall
yes, yes.
what would you call it, the sort of like idol event that's going to happen,
The advancements of the
yeah,
story in the
The
episode.
Idol
Yes.
yeah,
Cinematic Universe.
The Idol
yeah.
Cinematic Universe.
So yeah, because it's like,
Yeah, I see you, baby.
episode 2 has the photo shoot. Episode 3
Yes.
is the girls getting into making videos and sort of that sort
live
of media
streaming, yeah.
content.
Yeah.
Episode 4 is the sort of live TV trivia, like quiz show sort of gimmick going on there. And everything within that has been fantastic.
Yeah.
The ways like Arisu in the first episode seemed like she was going to be a very, very boring character, a very dramatic character, and she's not.
Yeah.
She kind of fits in
She's
to
chill.
yeah, she fits into almost every single group so far that's been shown off, and she bounces off like the producer very well, and sort of their back and forths.
Yeah.
The visuals team has been absolutely killing it with facial expressions.
They have
and like
so much movement just for
very
regular actions, like walking,
yeah,
eating. Like they're just like the
very
guy that
small
was eating at the
subtleties.
restaurant or izakaya. He's just like they're doing like 60 frames animation for like him just eating. It's like what is
Yeah,
happening?
it's kind of insane like what they're doing with that. The color grading has been very good. Like there are scenes where it gets dramatic and they're like, you know what, fuck it, we're just going to completely change like the color grading of this scene because it started to get a little dramatic, and then we're going to snap it back when it stops. And that was like, specifically I'm referring to a scene in episode 4, sort of like the culmination like of all of the events. And
Was that Momoko's
The
stuff?
resolution,
No, it
yeah,
wasn't. No,
yeah,
no,
it
that was
was.
Recess.
Oh no, no,
Was
no,
it
that was
Momoko's or Recess?
Akagi's. That was a
Oh, it was
media
yes, yeah,
stuff.
yes.
That was during like the live stream, and it sort of
Yes.
like baits and switches you and things,
Uh-huh.
and it plays with the entire color palette of the scene in that. It does it with Momoko's a little bit. It doesn't really. Momoko's more plays with effects, and that's awesome too. Like getting playing with like fisheye lens, playing with sound design,
Mhm.
for a scene that's really tense. I think it's just kind of been killing it in all angles in that regard. And then
Mhm.
each episode being episodic has been really nice, and most importantly, the overarching story has been very tame. It's been very reasonable. It's been very
Yes,
real,
it's organic.
right?
Yes.
The producer gets into certain like more some of it was comedic, some of it is a little bit more tense in general situations with trying to essentially pull the strings behind the scenes with other producers and other like companies, um and bouncing off of that. And that's another place again where they play with the like colors of the scene and everything, which I think has been really
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
But
I just
ultimately it is a very real approach to it, right? It's a very natural approach to this series, which I think again the original Cinderella Girls doesn't have after like episode 5 or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Like this is what the original should have been, because there's no reason to sort of change up this formula, right? There's no, unless you, I mean, of course, unless you do something where you focus more on one idol and
Yeah.
things like that. Obviously, you could change up the formula, but what this series is doing is, you have a producer. He is going to, push for these idols, right? He's going
Yeah.
to get them work. He's going to, try and get things together to put on their first show. Whereas,
I
we could go back to Cinderella, the original Cinderella Girls. Halfway through this season, or this is not going to get a second core where they introduce, some fucking psycho producer who's like, you were doing really well here, but like, what if we just like completely ruin everything you have going on?
yeah. Even the plot like happenings are not like super fucked up.
Yeah, like there are a natural result of the industry, these sort of dramatic tensions that arise, or the conflicts that arise. Whereas again, in the original Cinderella Girls, for people who might not know, about halfway through the season or something, or I think it's like, did Cinderella Girls have 24 episodes, and it's like 12 episodes of, this sort of thing, and then another 12 where the new like executive comes in?
I
I don't remember too.
I don't know
Either
whether there
way,
was an
it
actual
doesn't really
change,
matter. It's about
but it
like
was
half and half, or like eight, or like 3/4 of the way in. All of a sudden, an executive essentially comes in, and she's like, "Oh, I know how to pitch these idols, Mister Producer Man. What if we just start breaking them up and doing weird pairings that you didn't consider?" And it starts to create tension, and the idols don't really bounce off of each other as well as the original pairings, and it's all fucked up. And it literally, like, this person, they introduce a character that just comes in and is literally like, I'm gonna fuck up everything, like, and that's my role. I'm just gonna fuck it all up. And it leaves you kind of scratching your head of like, why would this even happen? Like, this
right,
does happen, obviously. Like, this happens in the real world where executives and people come in and meddle and it fucks everything up, but that's not really interesting to watch. Like, we
Yeah.
live that every day, we see it.
And
Like,
also
we
that
know.
happens that sort of railroading happens way more in anime series because it's like the special like like happening or whatever, and so that sort of becomes a habituation or like a sort of normalization in itself where you're just like, oh yeah, it's like this anime is just gonna have this, so it's like that becomes boring in and of itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like, it's not what you came for. Like, it's not what you're showing up for with this type of series. You could have drama in isolation, in the sense of, you know, like when in this series, the producers working with other people, like all the other executives or the other like suits essentially or producers, and trying to resolve issues in that regard. Like you can have drama there at that level, but I feel like drama within like the actual unit, or not the unit, but drama within like the company itself is
Mhm.
not something that like I think is good to have in a series like this, right?
And
Unless
obviously,
like
again,
unless
it's
like
like a
that
lot.
is the series, right? Unless like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
series is the corporate side of idols taken to
yeah.
like the full extent. Like that is what you
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
You're not here for idols, you're here for that, right?
yeah,
In the same way that like the like seedy side of the idol industry is what you are watching like Oshinoko for. You're not
yeah.
watching Oshinoko for the idols. Like
And you also have to consider the context where it's like at the end of the day, Idol Master is supposed to be a little bit more of a standard, like cheesier 2D idol, like yeah, idols kind of thing. So it's like adding too much like, oh, I'm Batman, or like, where is she? Like, like stuff like that. It's like
yeah, like
adding too much of that
adding too
is
much of like
not.
a random or
It's
like
not. This is not the DC
like
universe.
inter conflict. Like we don't, yeah,
Yeah,
like we don't need like the an edgier side of this. Like that's not what we're here
yeah,
for.
yeah.
We are
Exactly.
literally here for the episodic idols, like bouncing off the producer and each other, and
Yeah.
that's it.
And two things
Um,
I think again you mentioned this in passing as well, and obviously we're discussing a little bit of it. And I think that like addition, while still being part of the standard formula, um, U149 improved upon it in such significant ways that I think those improvements alone like put it head above the other series. And one is like again obviously like as we just mentioned, sort of the organic nature of the problems, right? It's like the elaboration of like the standard lore of these people and how it's kind of formed in the series. It's like the way the dialogue is set up and the way that the characters kind of smoothly move into it, and they're like, oh, but I'm worried about this. Oh, but then this is like the problem, and like we're all here for you. We're idols, whatever, blah blah. And that sort of like quick problem resolution and kind of elaboration within a reasonable human context, instead of just being like, oh, I'm super omega tsundere or whatever the fuck, right? Instead of doing that, I think really helps like add that like extra bit of good spice, like that edge or human edge. And then another one is like uh, and I think even especially the older Idolmaster anime, right, the Namco Idolmaster anime is guilty of this a little bit, is that in a lot of these series, they don't have the entire cast sort of talking with each other, even when they're in like the same room, right? And so
yeah,
it'll be one on one. It'll be like Yukio and Makoto talking with each other, or it'll be like the Idolmaster like twins, of Tommy twins talking with each other, or it'll be like Miki talking with somebody, right? Or it'll be like one or two people talking with each other at the same time, or one of the idols talking to the producer or whatever it is, right? But this has constant interactions with everybody in the cast. Like
yeah,
everybody's just jumping and trying to talk with each other. They're in the same room and they're naturally, they're all kids. They're all excited. They're trying to, like fucking like dogpile on top of each other. And those interactions also, like the plot of like the previous episodes also affect the subsequent episodes and stuff like that. And it's just very well made. Like the people in the room are talking to each other and they're not just like, oh, producer, and that's it. Like
yeah.
they're
And then it
actually talking with each
immediately
other.
turns into like,
Yeah.
only the producer speaking with this one idol, like this
Yeah, yeah.
one
Oh, I
character.
have a problem. It's like that. It's not just that.
Yeah.
I think that's
So yeah, I think that's been really, really good. And the other thing too is like, again, the resolutions have been very natural, have been very good. And I think there's been like some direct exposition, like there has been some not like monologuing, but again, yeah, there's been like some exposition of like explaining sort of the issue, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I feel like it has been way less than you would expect. There has been a lot with scenes again
It's
that
very like
work off of
subtle,
like
like
body
yeah.
language and subtleties that
Yes,
they animate
yes,
in
yes,
that
yes.
are like telling you what the issue is, like you get it, but like you don't
You know
really
also what's a
know.
big difference. You know also what's
Yeah,
a
it's
big
like
difference.
Yeah, you don't
that-
need to hear what's going, and you also don't need to hear like what's going on in their head, like especially for
yes,
Momoka's episode.
yes.
Like
There's very specific lack of
You-
internal monologue.
yeah,
This
like
is important.
you do not like in Momoka's episode specifically, like you do not need to know what she's thinking with her problem because you're seeing the issue and
Yes.
you're guessing
Yes.
roughly at like the producer can guess roughly like how to resolve this regardless of like
This-
what the sort of underlying issue is.
Yes, perfect. I couldn't have phrased it better myself. It's like
I think
it's just like, oh god, because it's like if you look at like Love Live or like a bunch of other stuff, right? A lot of the other times, like they are doing like these internal monologues, which is like when you watch some of these series, you're like, okay, well that sets up for the drama. But it's like when you listen to the writers, I guess, of these idol shows, just being like relying on that internal monologue as a crutch to explore the lore, the background of these characters quickly, like just one after another, it becomes very stale. So I really did like
because you don't get as unique and sort of
they're
original
just telling you,
character
yeah,
interactions.
I'm
You don't
sad
get
because
yeah, it's like I'm sad and this is why. You know, you don't
Yeah.
get especially in a series with a producer.
Mhm.
I guess like Love Live can do it with the way characters bounce off each other and resolve it, you know, in like interpersonally in that regard. But you know, when you have a producer, especially having that not happen, sort of really enhances, I feel like, their interaction because you're not getting something that feels the same every single time.
Yes,
Because
yes.
you're looking at him observe and then him take an action based on what he's observing rather than you having as a viewer way more knowledge and then the producer, whether they write it as if the producer somehow obtains that knowledge and has that sort of omnipresence that you have as a viewer,
Mhm.
or if they want to use it as like a pure insert,
Mhm.
you know, having an inconsistency doesn't help if it's an insert, right? Like if you have
Yeah.
more knowledge than the producer, that doesn't really help that much. If it's supposed to be an insert, but even beyond that, you know, it's very hard to make an interaction feel as original between episodes, especially in an episodic series, if you are consistently given, you know, exposition, monologue, and that's either provided to the producer or not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's
And also
provided
a
to the
lot of
producer,
those
it doesn't allow for a more original interaction, especially one that sometimes won't in this series like will resolve the issue, but
Mhm.
you know they purposefully made it seem organic in the sense of, you know, the producer's not nailing it every time, like
Yeah.
he's doing something that he thinks is the right, like a way to resolve this and to ease tension, and obviously it's, you know, in an organic sense that is not going to nail everything down, but it's going to be just enough.
Right. And it's just, and especially those dialogues, again, as you just mentioned, can become like, if you do the internal monologues, they end up becoming again very formulaic because it's often just like, for instance, one of the idols will be at an audition and it's like, I'm too scared, what do I do? And then she'll like look to the side and there's the producer like waving at her like, you're doing your best, and then it's the whatever.
Yeah.
You'll have these like formulaic patterns of setups that you just look at them and you're just like, whatever.
Yeah,
But I'm glad that this series.
the drama in this, while we did say, you know, it is a very puzzle piece like type thing, it's perfecting a formula. While it is a formula, it is, you know, offering a different
Mhm.
different pacings to these dramas and different dramas
Right,
per episode and per idol. So
yeah,
yeah, and as you said, if you introduced a monologue every single time with that sort of, you know, nails down in like a bad way, sort of like pigeonholes the pacing of every episode or the sort of resolution of every episode. And I think so far that has not been the case. Some
Yeah.
episodes resolve their issues way later than others. And yeah, it's just been a very, very good variety.
This also kind of I guess this couple of some of my last words on this series, but it's like it was very nostalgic because it's been a while since I've dived into Cinderella Girls in any meaningful manner. It's nostalgic hearing and kind of seeing all the familiar like songs and like color backgrounds of the characters related to the Cinderella Girls and stuff like that. And there are also, again, as we mentioned before, a bunch of homage and like references and cameos. It's just I don't know about Dark, but for me, like seeing like all of the Cinderella girls, like characters just pop out, and even just like they have their own conversations too. Like Shiki and like Frederica have their own conversations, like actual conversations.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like a freaking baseball bat over my head. like,
Yeah,
um,
like getting Nana and all of that. Like
yeah,
that's
they actually
been
say stuff, and it's not just like their catchphrases or whatever. This
yeah.
is
It is a
yeah,
very, very good use of these characters. In the sense of, if all of the 149 girls are the mains, when they introduce these cameos, they essentially are supporting characters rather than, just like cameos.
yeah.
There have been obviously there have been cameo references as well, which have been fun too, like in the backgrounds or when the producer's like scrolling through ideas, what's her name was there, Rimu was there, like
Oh, yeah,
shit
Riemu, and
like
then
that.
the three like main new girls for that
Yeah.
was in the recent years. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The,
like
the
they
apple
were
girl and the
shown.
shark tooth girl and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like those sorts of things have been very cool.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean
Also,
it's one you could jump into
yeah,
without any
sure.
context. It's one that you could jump into if you've seen any of the others.
And it's like it really like triggers that like the Idolmaster nerd in you if you have been involved with the franchise
Yeah,
or
it
with
is
Cinderella Girls at least.
it is a very, very big breath of fresh air. I'm very happy that
This is a series
Side
you
Games.
wanted, or this is a
I guess I
series
could
you
say I'm very happy that Side Games Pictures exists and Side Games has
wanted.
become so fucking wealthy that they can just do what they want and how
In-house
they
cities,
want
yeah.
it. Yeah, because it's like even going off of, not to get too sidetracked, but even going off of Uma Musume recently, it's
Yeah.
like Uma Musume as a whole is like godlike. It has been very good and
All of the
in
Uma
similar ways
Musume
and different
original
ways.
anime delays were to make up for this, or what to build up to this. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like all of it has been very good, and it shows to me that like Cygames knows exactly what they need to do with a lot of their IP and who they need to get. I guess as far as staff goes for this, I guess the big standout one, obviously, the director. The director is the director for, and this has been quite the portfolio, was that it looked like his directorial debut was Gamers. And it's like, wow, man. But, I mean, we've
But he made up
definitely
for it
gone
by
over
doing
this
Mushoku
before.
Tensei.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then the Gamers director somehow was just like, yeah, I'll just, sure, Mushoku Tensei. Fine, why not? Like, like, look, mall ratings aren't everything,
It's
right?
probably
But
got connections.
Gamers was pretty fucking mid, right?
Yeah, yeah, it
Gamers is
absolutely was.
sitting at a cool
I
6.7.
think at that point we just blame the source material and move
Yeah,
on.
but it's like Gamers is out here sitting at a 6.7. Then it's like, oh yeah, Mushoku Tensei 8.7 on mall. It's like that is a one jump between the two as far as
Mhm.
positions goes. He did some episode directing for Darling in the Franxx as and he's done work in between that with
Mhm.
storyboarding. But as far as directing, like full directing, went from Gamers, Mushoku Tensei, and now U149, and
Yeah.
kind of shows. Um,
Uh, by the way, just a little bit of tangent on like the kind of like voicing and like the roles and stuff like that. This is, I don't think there's any debate. This is probably the series that has the most active like lolly roles, like named lolly roles, not just like random, background kindergartners running around, but it's like actual main lolly roles in an anime series in anime history, right? Like it has to be. It absolutely has to be, right? This is I don't think even like something like Kodomo Chikan or like, Hanamari Yochen or like wherever, like, this has the most lollies in a single series, right? Like that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think
probably.
any other series is beating this for a while.
Which, like, further goes with the voice actresses themselves, where it's just like,
By the way,
what a collection of
yeah.
talent.
Yeah. By the way, at least half or more of the voice actresses for these characters are the same age or older than I am, by the way. And I will just let the viewers know it's been a while since I've graduated college. So it's quite something, Voice actors
Yeah, a
are actresses
lot
are
of
quite
30,
talented.
a lot of 30 plus
Yeah.
VAs. So absolutely killing it.
Oh jeez.
I mean, specifically, gotta give a shout out to Misaki Kuno with voicing Nina. Like,
Now you
just
know what I mean. The
killer,
professional
really.
kindergartner. The
Yeah,
professional kindergartner.
just always killing it. Um, and yeah, just this series rocks. This series
Yeah.
is very, very fun, very good.
Honestly, like when I heard about the series, like I was kind of just like, yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be pretty standard, like, or even worse because it's like a spinoff. It's just gonna be like worse version of like what we have for the other 2D idol stuff, whatever. But like I watched it and it was good, and I was like, we
Yeah,
need more
it's
of
like
this. We need
yeah,
this
it's like
series.
honestly, it's like, again, it's fucked up that like I even had doubts, because it's like once I was getting through more Uma Musume, I should have known. I should have been like, oh,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Psy Games
So
Productions. They know what they're fucking doing.
so I just did a little homework. Roku View has more lollies.
Rookie View,
Yeah.
really? Oh
Yeah,
fuck!
I had a sneaking suspicion and I counted. So
Okay, well,
Oh, because they have other characters that are not just like the five
yeah,
main
yeah, yeah,
cast.
yeah,
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 exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Ah,
that
fuck, you're
makes
right.
sense.
That's pretty funny. Holy shit. Okay, 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 okay. God.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. But
Rookie
you know
View,
what they
Rookie View
don't
is
have?
also like
You know what
full
they
on.
don't
Yeah.
have? They don't have a short
yeah.
king. They don't have a short king.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you know,
Oh Jesus. But yeah, I hope if they do other Big Rig says that was very, very important information. I'll remember that. Yeah.
yeah.
Rukibyu and the Idol Master Cinderella girls,
Listen,
U419.
man.
Noted, noted
When
for no
When
reason in
Spire
particular.
says like, I think
I
this series has the most lollies ever. I have to check that.
yeah, fact check.
I
I'm
have to
up for
fact
it.
check
Yeah.
that shit, man.
I'm not gonna be calling you out on all fake news. I'm up for being fact checked, right? I ain't no CNN, but yeah. So Rookie View, Idol Master, Cinderella girls following close behind.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you want lollies, just bucket loads of them, just like elementary school fulls of them. So, but
Yeah.
all kidding aside, I do really hope that other Idolmaster spin-offs, and they probably are coming, like with the older like girls or whatever, right? Stuff like that. I really hope that they're of this format because this was just such a good example of like what 2D Idol series can be.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very excited to see what else Psy Games does for this. Yeah, again, I think they've nailed it. I think they know what they're doing at this point with this stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think in general you kind of saw like once Psy Game Pictures like became more of a thing, like shit just kind of popped off, because even think about what do you call it? The Grand Blue stuff. Like the Grand Blue the Grand Blue animes compared to like Precon. Right? Like Grand Blue was
Yeah, I know what you're
A1
talking
and
about. Yes,
then
yes.
I forget who did season 2, and it's like it's whack. It's super whack.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
just like not at all what it should be. And then Psy Games like, whatever, we'll just do it ourselves. And then so far it's been I don't know. I haven't had an issue. I've thought it's been great. Pre-Kone has been killer. Fucking Uma Musume has been incredible, and then now this has been just insane. How like the quality here.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I definitely couldn't have said it better myself. Any last words on the series? And what would you
Um,
rate it?
I mean, I would honestly rate this a fucking 10. Like it's
It's
it
it's
has
so
nothing.
polished.
It leaves me nothing to be desired. Like the interactions.
Except trying to avoid conflicts with the police. You mean except trying to
Yeah,
be
I
on
mean,
the
I
run from the
listen.
police.
We're used to it by now, so just another
Who's
day,
we?
just
Who's
another
we?
Tuesday.
Who's we?
Yeah, Nier is already out of this pocket. He's no longer a member.
No
He's
thanks,
You know,
over here.
bro.
You
I
must be
prefer shiny
speaking
colors.
French.
yeah. Nier's like, who's this fellow again
You
speaking?
speaking
Like, what
French?
the
You
fuck?
speaking French, my friend? What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
Let it be on the
yeah,
record that
it's
I prefer shiny colors, not whatever this
Oh
is.
yeah, the high school girls proper. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
so I mean, this series overall, like this series is cute as fuck. Um, the only sussy character is Risa, obviously,
They're all
but
are all pretty sus, my dude.
then now Risa is the only sussy one. You'll know if you watch it.
Jesus.
But even her episode was fun. It was cute.
Yeah.
Is she the one that's
Yeah,
like
it's
6?
extremely cute.
Which one was the one that was like 6 years old?
That's probably like
They're all-
Nina, to be honest.
yeah, the youngest one is probably Nina or
Yeah,
like
I
Harada
think
or something. Yeah.
Nina's the youngest, which again is also like just there's so many details in the episode. Like
This
fuck,
episode was so
Nina's
good.
episode was
Fuck.
so good because it's like Nina gets
It was so good.
like Nina gets sad, and then literally every character is like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Like
Oh
we
fuck.
hold up, we fucked up. Like everyone gets guilt tripped. Which was a really funny detail.
Mhm.
But yeah, just in general, series is super cute, super fun. Definitely worth a shot whether or not you're like a fan of Idolmaster.
Yeah.
Because again, like regardless, like the directing, the animations, the visuals, like everything about it has been just fucking killer.
Yeah. By the way, again, you don't need to know anything about Animemaster to get into this series
No,
beforehand.
you
You
don't
just
need to
need
know
to,
anything. It just
yeah.
helps if you do. Like
If you're
it's
okay
nice
with
if you
2D
do.
idol shows, yeah, then you should be okay with this.
I'm gonna be honest with you, even if you're like don't give a shit about TD idol shows and you just kind of want like a episodic, almost like what
Mm-hmm.
could be akin to a almost slice of life type ordeal in some ways. Like I even think that like this kind of falls under that sort of jurisdiction at that point.
Yeah. Anyways, again, thank you so much. I know Dark and I went quite otaku on there a little bit on the Idolmaster Cinderella girls, but it is a franchise near and dear to our hearts, and it was a good series. You know, it was a very surprising good series. So you know, we did kind of go into quite a bit of detail on it, but it is a again Idolmaster Cinderella Girls U149. It is a spin-off of the overall Idolmaster Cinderella Girls franchise, which obviously has its own multimedia franchise, including its own anime main Cinderella Girls anime. Um, this is one of the first sort of main picture, or sorry, this is one of the anime series directly being made by Cygames Pictures, of course, who also does hold not licensing, but holds the rights to create the games Idolmaster Cinderella Girls, as well as the Starlight Stage, as well as the original mobile game, the Mobomasu or Idolmaster Cinderella Girls mobile game. So they have the rights to actually license and like produce and make those as well, working together, of course, with Bandai Namco. So that again, if you do like 2D idol shows, or even if you're a little bit turned away by 2D idol shows because of their mediocrity, maybe do check this out. It's a pretty good ride for what it is. You know, obviously, lollies, beware. Don't watch this in your, workspace or anything like that. But it's
Yeah,
all
you
very good.
have to run Google Incognito mode.
You
You will
must
never
not
be
have this in your
found.
history for more than 1 hour.
They
The
can't.
FBI
They
will be on
can't.
your
Yeah,
ass.
they can't find you if you're in Google Incognito.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
But yeah, please do check this out if you're into idol shows, stuff like that. And yeah, and thank you, Dark, for the review. Now we're going to go over quickly the news. Just a couple pieces, mainly like company related news. First, Bushiroad. You guys might know them for making a lot of like different mobile games and stuff like that. Or as well as different like just cross media franchises like card games and stuff like that. Bushiroad announced last week that it is splitting its consolidated subsidiary Bushiroad Creative to establish a new company called Bushiroad Works on July 3rd. Bushiroad Works will be in charge of publishing magazines and books, planning and operating comic websites, and creating new intellectual property. So essentially, they're trying to muscle into the sort of new digitalized manga industry from what it looks like. And obviously, it's obvious why they're doing so. So, sort of all these Japanese publishers trying to get into the digitalized manga industry before they get locked out by one company who lucked out on a good model. Next piece of news. Anime director and animator Hashimoto Hiroyuki, who's most famous for his directorial debut with Gochumun wa Usagi desu ka, or Gochusa, or also known as Is the Order Rabbit in 2014. And then
Speaking of
afterward,
another lolly series,
yeah, exactly. Um, and he did, later on, he did Classroom of the Elite, he did Slow Start, he did Magical Girl Raising Project, stuff like that. But yeah, he has established a new animation studio named Stepple. Right now, it only apparently has like 3 staff members, including himself. But it will grow in the future. So he is trying to. He's apparently taking private messages on Twitter from interested freelance animators and line directors. So if you are living in Japan and if you're dreaming the Japanese anime drawing dream, right? Even after you've heard all these horror stories about Japanese animators getting paid like $5 per year for animating. If you're willing to live that dream and you're living in Japan, shoot this guy a message. This is probably as close as you're gonna get to like immediately getting
Yeah, maybe
potentially
we'll get
getting a
another
permanent job.
Gochumon instead of like whatever the fuck Mike
Yeah,
Fox is putting out.
yeah, exactly. So that's that. Next, a little bit more on the digitalization front. Kodansha launched this new manga distribution service, K Manga. So this Kodansha's version of like the digital manga stuff for Android on Wednesday. The app is also slated to launch for iOS on Wednesday and is slated to launch for browsers within days. Blah blah blah. The company also revealed the service's ticket and point-based credit systems. The service will provide users with a free normal ticket once a day. Users can use normal tickets to read a single chapter of a single K manga original series per ticket. Users can get 3 to 4 premium tickets per day,
Dude,
login bonuses,
Yo,
and
be
special
normal.
campaigns.
Be normal.
bro,
Just make a subscription. Holy fucking
what are
shit.
they
Be
doing,
normal.
man? Just make a
Please.
fucking like.
And can utilize both normal and premium. But they are literally turning like manga subscription services into a gacha game. Like this is not
Why?
even
Like, why, bro?
normal or
Like,
premium tickets to read about 4 to 5 chapters of a title per day. Premium tickets have an expiration date. Note that what do premium tickets do? Note that although K Manga's own infographics state that premium tickets allow users to quote unquote read as many chapters of your favorite series as you want, Kodansha confirmed with ANN that using tickets to read 4 or 5 chapters per day is more accurate. So there's still a limit with the premium tickets.
awesome,
What?
awesome
Wait, of
system,
nothing.
guys.
A limit of nothing. 4 to 5 chapters in general?
I
Like,
like
what are
how
you,
it says read
insane?
as many chapters as you want. Like that's literally on the infographics. And they're like,
Read as many
no, it's just
chapters
4
as
or
you
5.
want, as long as you read at the speed of a fucking, like, 5-year-old, by
Read
the
as
way.
many chapters as long as many is exactly equal to 5.
Yeah, as long as many is, like, several.
Yeah, exactly. But I just you know how I mentioned literally years ago, right? I think this was even before Corona. I was like, we're now seeing the digitalization age, and we're going to see the scuffle of all of these like bad, like fucked up, of these different messed up subscription and like transaction models popping up before we finally get to some sort of equilibrium point, whether that equilibrium point is good or bad. You're seeing this scuffle right now. You're seeing a
Yeah.
bunch of digitalization services pop up, and you're seeing some services that are just like not. These are not
It's
good
so
ideas.
bizarre, man. It's so, like I don't understand. Like Marvel Comics and DC Comics both have digital like apps
Mhm.
that are just subscription services. You pay for a
Yeah.
subscription
Ultimately, I
service,
think it'll
and
just
you
be
can
a
read
newspaper.
all of the comics that you fucking want.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
It's
don't
just
And
be
look,
like a
understand.
newspaper.
even if that is too much, you literally do both. Like, I don't know, Amazon Prime Video and shit, and like every video service does too now, where it's like some of these things are a premium even if you have the service. Like, there's a lot on subscription, but some shit you're gonna have to pay.
Yeah, some shit
Yeah.
you just have to buy, you know,
By the
and
way,
that
by the
can be
way,
But like,
some of the
what
newer
the
stuff,
fuck
that can
is
be some
this
of the more high
ticket
profile
shit?
stuff.
Like,
Like, yeah, this like daily
the fact
login
that
stuff.
we have to question how this even fucking functions
Yeah.
is so stupid.
yeah. By the way, it gets even worse. I wanted to kind of stop the news here, but I just read the next paragraph about the point system as well. That's
Yeah.
also within this, and I just have to read this. Users can alternately purchase points. So this is an alternate point system, not just ticket system. With every 100 points costing $1, and I'm gonna probably guess that like chapters will cost at least like $200, $300.
Probably.
The service also gives users points for reading the service's quote unquote featured manga chapter of the day or for watching advertisements. Obviously, all kind of like, which is not great. Users can then use the points to purchase access to manga chapters. This is the kicker. The point based price of each chapter varies according to both titles and individual chapters of the manga.
Oh,
Bro.
so
Think
if
about
you
how
want to
fucked up
read
that
some
is.
dog shit, or
So
some
it
filler,
probably
like
escalates.
you're
It
all
probably
good.
escalates
And
as the
you're
chip
gonna
as
have
you
like
get
authors
deeper in.
literally like
You
like
have to
glaring
watch
at each other
3
because of
hours of
points.
ads
Yeah,
to read one chapter of Chainsaw Man.
because why is my yeah, exactly why is my manga going to be like 100 points and then the next guy is like going to be 500 points per chapter and stuff like that. Like there's definitely going to be like scuffles on social media about that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And obviously like individual chapters you could be like the Kodansha K manga manager people or the higher ups could very well be like, okay, well, this couple of like slice of life chapter in this, action series, it's going to be like 50 points per chapter. Oh, you want to read this climax? That's going to be 1,000 points, bitch.
Yeah,
Pay
exactly,
up.
exactly.
Pay up right now.
It's going to escalate the deeper in you get to a series. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah,
first like
or like specific climax with
yeah, like the
boss. Yeah,
first like 20 chapters of like Attack on Titan or something, right? It'll be like 50 points each. And then you get into the next 20 chapters, it'll be like 100 points each. And then you get in the next 20 chapters, it'll be 150
it's going to
points
be
each.
like
You know what I
levels.
mean?
It's going to be like
Yeah,
level
it's
progression.
it's going to get
Yo,
increasingly
okay, hear
more
me out.
expensive to read the manga.
Yo, hear me out. Panels. We go by
I mean,
panel.
they can't do that. Like they would
And
never do that.
you have to pay with points to
You know what I
decensor,
just thought?
descramble each panel.
You know what I just realized? Since people are stupid enough to think of these like or greedy rather enough to think of these like points and ticket system, you know what the next step is going to be before we get to the equilibrium point? There's going to be I'm almost willing to bet money on this. There will be what like a manga like digital manga system that will have literal like point loot boxes, like loot where you can buy loot boxes with like your point system for
And they
like a
have
grab
random
bag of
chapters in them.
yeah, but you can have duplicate chapters, and that's
Dude.
which is essentially fuck you. Like if you get duplicate chapters, that's it. Like you don't. You think about that.
Oh my god,
You
man.
know that has a very good chance of happening.
Yo, I got the
Now
Giga
you see-
Rare LTD. I got the
you
live
just gonna
2D
get like
chapter.
you just get like chapter 18 of like Engage Kiss or like Golden, like you're like, oh, I got like chapters like 14 through 20 of like Golden Combo. I really want to watch chapter 21. So you keep rolling like say a loot box, but you keep getting chapters 16 through 18 of Golden Combo over and over again. You're like, no. And you've already like you're like $50 in. You could have
Yeah.
probably bought just bought like the manga by now. But
Yeah,
you're
you
like,
get to
no, I gotta
spark
get
the ending of your
yeah,
favorite
yeah, that's
series.
right. Yeah, you have to buy $300 worth of digital manga, and they're gonna take it away from you because you can't even download it anyways. Oh my god. Oh god. Not like this, guys. Not like this. But yeah, the future of digital manga, digitalized manga, is gonna involve more scuffles like this until a winner rises from the top. And the final like equilibrium kind of model that everybody kowtows to might not be good either. So we have to watch for it. Next, Japanese publisher Kodansha announced the winners on Wednesday for its 47th annual manga awards. I will post this on the in the chat, but it's also like for those of you who are interested in kind of reading these manga, a lot of times they are pretty decent. So, best shonen manga goes to Shangri-La Frontier by Fuji Ryosuke and Katarina. Other nominees for Best Shonen Manga included Akara Banashi, Kaoru Hana wa Rin Tosaku, Gachi Akuta, and Megumi no Daigo, Kyukoku no Orange. Shangri-La Frontier was also nominated in 2022, but that time I got reincarnated as a slime, won in that year. That shoujo manga goes to My Girlfriend's Child by Aoi Mamoru. Other nominees were in this category included In the Clear Moonlit Dusk, Tamon's B-side, and A Side of Affection. And the award for Best General Manga goes to Skip and Loafer by Takamatsu Misaki. Other nominees for Best General Manga included Onna no Sono no Hoshi, The Darwin Incident, Manshu Iron Squad, Medalist, and Liaison. Kodomo no Kokoro Shinryosho. Skip and Loafer again was also nominated in 2022, but Police in a Pod won that year. So, anyways, congratulations to all the award winners. Obviously, if you guys are interested in some of the series, a lot of these series tend to be pretty good, so please do check them out. Last piece of news before going on to calls and shoutouts, real quick. Japanese content websites DLC, CN, Pixel Fanbox, and Fantia. These are all very famous websites for content creators in Japan, for smaller content creators in Japan, for getting a whole bunch of money. It's like the Japanese equivalent of like Patreon kind of stuff. They have all banned or restricted AI generated content on their web platforms in the past 2 days. All 4 sites state the ban as quote unquote temporary, although the announcements do not state how long the ban will last. The ban on DL site and CN is only for
Wait, did
AI
Pixiv
generated
ban it, or did it just ban it from Fanbox?
Fanbox.
Yeah,
Fanbox.
okay.
Fanbox.
I was gonna say it
The
didn't ban
bans
it
on
account.
Pixel Fanbox and Fantia are all for all AI generated content. Pixel Fanbox and Fantia are similar Patreon. The ban, however, on DLC and CN is only for AI generated manga, CG illustrations, videos, and content relating to these. Whereas, and both sites will still allow content with partial AI assistance on novels and games. Whereas, Fanbox and Fantia are just like they slap the hammer down or slam the hammer down. All 4 sites noted in their statements that the bans are to protect content creators and to stem the large amount of monetized AI-generated content that has been uploaded on the platforms over the past months. So yeah, they are trying to do something about it, but I think it's a little bit might be a little too late.
Late.
Yeah.
A little late. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I mean, granted, I think this should have been the standard from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I think specifically in Pixiv's case, like I'm all for artists using AI as a tool, right? Like I think it would be great. I think it'd be really cool. I've seen a lot of artists genuinely use it like to do cool things.
Yeah. To more efficiently do their work.
Yeah, I mean,
well.
not even to more efficiently do their work, to like churn out like different alternate like renderings of their art, or like to render parts of their art differently, like the way lighting is, things like that, shading. But I think the important thing with like a full ban, even as a tool, realistically, like, wink wink nudge nudge, no one is gonna fucking know if you're like using AI, but you're already an artist like worth your salt anyway, right? Like you could easily still have a Pixiv fan box and use AI in your art, but like you have to actually be an artist. You can't
Yeah.
you can't be putting in other people's shit, essentially. Like, you have to be
Yeah, you
using
can't
it
just be shuffling
like,
the cards. Yeah.
yeah, you have to be using it the way like it should be, right? Like, you
Yeah.
have to be using it like, to figure out, maybe you want to figure out your poses, maybe you want to see what looks natural at first,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you go
Exactly.
from there.
Exactly.
Like, you know, you're not, yeah, unfortunately you're not going to be able to take fucking artist shit, run it through that, and then, you know, the artists on Twitter literally find it and be like, what the fuck? Like, this is my art, but you ran it through a fucking AI. Like, sick.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty. At least it's decent starting news, but yeah. So there's gonna be that ban, and that's pretty much it for the news. We are going to quickly shunt over to the shoutouts and callouts. Everybody, again, obviously, here gets one shout out and one call out each. Shout out is something that you want to get 5 out of 5 stars, praise to the skies, and call out is the exact opposite, 0 stars, rant about. Um, and it can be any one person, place, or thing. And we start now with Toast. Shout out, call out, please. Toast is dead.
Gone.
It's over.
I'm
It's
gonna
over.
shout out Shirase Sakuya for being 18 years old in Idol Master Shiny Colors.
Yes, for being of not elementary school age, I think is what you want to mention.
Congratulations.
Yes, thumbs
You've done
up.
it.
Who's the main in Shiny Colors? Was she the one that's 21?
There are like
Uh,
3 girls. I forget.
The one that's in the same group as Shirase Sakuya, right? Uh, uh,
I don't know what the groups are. I'm like really bad. Sorry.
uh,
No,
Antica?
Lantica,
Kogane?
Lantica. Yeah,
Is
there are like
Kogane
5 other.
not?
There are like 4 other characters. Kogane.
Kogane is
I
19.
Yeah, Kogane
Amine is
is
18. Yuika is 19.
Illumination Stars is like the main group, but
Kirika
I
is
think they're
17. Okay,
all
so everyone but Kirika is cool,
okay.
I guess.
But yeah, I think most of them are still like pretty much all high schooler ish or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Anyway,
still acceptable in the eyes of our Lord.
Yeah?
you won't yeah, you
Lord.
won't immediately get nabbed by the FBI. Just you still have to be careful. Is that how we go?
Who's the oldest idol again? Which one was like 40?
Spire.
Yeah, I
Oh,
am the
that's
idol. I
fucking
am.
what's her name? The wine one, right? The is that who you're talking about? One who's always like depicted with like some sort of liquor or wine. Really?
Kaede?
Yeah.
No, Kaede is
Yeah.
not the oldest one, although she's one of the older. Okay, apparently it says here the oldest Idolmaster one should be it should be
Is it Ritsuka?
Takashi.
Ritsuko?
No, no. Surprisingly, it is not. It is Takashi Reiko, who was a character who was actually modeled after Takashi Chiaki, who voices us in among the original cast. But yeah, this Cinderella girl character Takashi Reiko is 31 years old. She is the oldest one.
Damn. She's a Christmas cake.
Grandma.
I
But
guess that's my shout out. Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Shoutouts
call
to
out?
shoutouts to girls of legal age.
Shout out to legal marriage.
Bold bold
Why
words coming from an
Spire, why'd you
anime
go all the
fan.
way to marriage? That's kind of suspicious,
Dude,
my dude.
you can't do anything before marriage, bro.
Yeah,
That's
that's
true,
That's
true.
that's
fire.
true.
It's all over.
My
But
call
yeah.
out? I don't know. I guess this heat.
Yeah.
True.
I've
Yeah,
I
it
have a
has
feeling
been
It's
it'll
pretty
kind of
fucking
hot.
toasty.
Near is saying true, but he's living in Canada, so it's a constant blizzard all the
Dude,
time.
it's fucking warm, man.
Yeah. How many degrees is it over there, actually?
Let me check.
Yeah, I guess yes. It's getting hot.
You guys are gonna laugh at
It should. For some reason, I prefer
It's
winter because I'm
15
lazy.
degrees Celsius.
it was 16 degrees today, actually.
What's that in
what is that
Fahrenheit
in
near?
Fahrenheit?
We don't speak
Um,
imperialist.
60
60,
degrees?
61,
Yeah, that is
yeah.
literally chilly. Like,
That's fucking
relax,
toasty, bro.
bro.
That's toasty.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
near
anyways.
near aren't you an imperialist country? You should
It was
speak
fucking
imperial
30
unit.
degrees Celsius by me, alright? So, like, relax. Okay.
Bro, it's gonna be
But
22 tomorrow. Fuck.
anyways, that was shout out call out from Toast. Thank you very much. Nier, what about you? Shout out call out, please.
I'm gonna shout out something I forgot to mention when I was covering Natural Destroyers. The previews for like the next episode
Mhm.
at the end is literally just the storyboard. Yeah, they just show
It's
they
full
just
like
show
Onimai shit.
yeah they
or
just show
something?
the
Yeah.
storyboard, like the raw storyboard. It's really good.
Nice.
But yeah, as for callouts, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Things have been
How are the
alright.
Niagara Falls near?
I don't know. Wet. But yeah, I'll probably call out the heat too. It gets pretty toasty.
Okay.
Near does the
Uh,
is there a dam at Niagara Falls?
No? I don't think so. Why?
Did you know that the
No, there's no dam. That's why it falls, bro. That's not a very good dam if it fucking runs over.
Near, did you know the Hoover Dam is still curing?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, now you do.
Alright.
All right.
Learn something new every day, I guess.
Knowledge plus one to knowledge.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Nier. What about you, Dark? Shout out, call it.
My shout out is gonna be to man, yeah, no, you know what? I'm just gonna do some pretty basic shit. My shout out's gonna be to World of Warcraft because the new update is very fun and the next update seems very cool. So, kind of sick that this time last year I was probably calling out WoW and saying like it's gonna die if they don't majorly change what they're doing, and then they did. This would be cool if Blizzard was like, "Hey, work from home policies? Yeah, we'll have them." But yeah, so that's fun. And I guess my call out is gonna be to Hoyoverse, because I'm playing all of their games now, and then I'm gonna be playing Zenless Zone Zero when that comes out too.
God.
So it's not great. But I guess the more real call out for them is gonna be like, how about you make some fucking outfits for Genshin Impact? You know, Nier and I were having a discussion. That game gets 4 outfits a year. That's it. Like, what
Bro,
are you
they're
doing?
a small company. They gotta save. They gotta
Yeah,
save
like,
up.
what the fuck are you doing? Like, fucking Honkai Impact, they're fucking like getting outfit every other week. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. I think they're probably like shifting around bunch of assets or a bunch of like float for their money, depending on like the game that they're focusing on or like the promotions. And they're just like, yeah, Genshin can just kind of float on its like brand name, whatever. But it's a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, thank you, Dark, for your shout out call out. I guess my shout out call will be pretty quick. Um, Shout out to the Hololive fighting game that was released recently, about a week or so ago. Idol Showdown. It's fun. It's actually quite a decent amount of fun, more fun than I've had with some games that have paid $50 to $60 plus for.
Oh yeah, Aspire.
Go,
Name
go
one
first.
Hololive member.
One Hololive member, Gura, clearly the
She's not in the
best.
fighting game. You haven't played
Yeah.
it, you
Oh, in
liar.
the fighting game. Yeah. In the fight. I'm going to say Mori Calliope, and by that I
She's not
mean
in the fighting
Suisei.
game, you liar.
Yes.
The skin
Oh
doesn't
my
count.
God. Because-
Name your favorite character in
In the fighting game,
yeah, who's your main? Who's
I
your main and
main
who's your collab?
I main Aki with Roboco collab because that's just like a top tier like
This guy
characters
likes
plus
War
assist.
Machine, huh?
But yeah, but if I had to just like pick off of like who I will want to pick, although I am actually practicing her on the side, it would be Sora, and I will probably I don't know who I think I honestly like the Miko assist a lot just in general, but I don't know whether that works with well, Mio probably works better with Sora, but again, that's a very that's a little bit of a longer discussion for later. But yeah, shout outs to the people who made it obviously as well as the game in general. It's been pretty enjoyable, much more enjoyable as a free
So,
game again than some games that I paid like $60 for.
but Spire, who would win in a fight? Hollow Cure or Idol Showdown?
Or Idol Showdown. Two different games if they fought each other. I am unsure, but Idol
My
Showdown also has like actual fighting game like fighting stuff. So
my money is on Hollow Cure. They got KU. That guy's legit.
Oh, jeez. Anyways, that was my shout out. My call out, honestly, it didn't take me too long, but it's just Discord. God, Discord has been freezing and crashing and like lagging like a motherfucker. Uh, just these after these past couple of updates, and it's so frustrating. It's just like this, like it's just literally crashing like every day. It's so bad. So, yeah, these past couple of updates have been really bad, and I know that Riposte might be able to corroborate a little bit in chat. It's better by Street Fighter 6. You can play Idle Showdown. Yeah, well, I'm having to do both, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it. But I know Discord is also built on relatively shaky ground. Like it's built on popular modern technology, but it's like that modern technology can become laggier and like much slower slash inefficient at larger scales. So Discord's core code is a little bit iffy at times, but we'll hopefully there are going to be some more stability and like optimization updates down the line. But right now it's just garbage, fucking garbage. So yeah. This is after he tells Dark not to play multiple. Well, you know how I roll. uh, Yeah, it's built on Chrome, and it also uses the Electron API, right? Again, some more modern technology for like building website kind of applications, based applications. Anyways, that was my call out, shout out, call out, and yeah, that should be it for this episode. We have two more podcasts with regards to the spring review or spring season. So we'll be doing one more spring review episode, and then we will be doing the summer preview episode a little bit early, so you guys can kind of see what's going on ahead, and we will have time to push out, individual series, clips of individual series, or previews and stuff like that for your viewing pleasure before we hit the summer season. So we'll have the summer preview early, and then maybe we'll hit up another spring review episode before we get into the summer shows. So that's pretty much our schedule. Again, it'll be every other 2 weeks as always. So yeah. Excuse me. If you like what we do, we stream our podcast every other Saturday starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in Japanese animation related media, anime, manga, light novels, web novels, visual novels, and so much more. So check us out here on our Twitch page. We have VODs, highlights of clips, different series that we review, the full VOD, all for your viewing pleasure, as well as on YouTube. So whichever format that you desire, we have highlights and other clips and content as well, and sometimes side casts even. Check us out there. Check us out on our social media updates on Facebook, 4PlayAnimecast, as well as Twitter at 4PPAnimecast. Again, all with the numeral 4. So check us out here, check us out there, and as always, we'll see you next time.